report in.
Red 10 standing by.
Red 7 standing by.
Red 3 standing by.
Red 6 standing by.
Red 9 standing by.
Red 2 standing by.
Red 11 standing by.
Red 5 standing by.
Welcome to the Research and Development Department for the Red Pill. Yes, today's about radical ownership. Yes, I will claim responsibility for everything in the Red Pill. I am the Red Pill. Here we go. Oh yeah, yeah. Full ego at full effect today. Oh, you're gonna love this one. I got Jim Kilgore in here with me today. We're going to talk a little bit about Reignite. We're also going to get into, we're going to talk about how much closer to God women are. Speaking of how close to God women really are, I can't even believe I'm going to. Jesus Christ! So all right, kill the banner real quick. Kill that banner real quick. There we go.
Hey y'all!
In case you were ever wondering where that came from.
Yeah, what up? I got the car seat in the back. Let's go to the park. Don't let your baby mama or your baby daddy block your blessings. I know in theory it sounds good keeping the same person to have kids with, but that's insanity as well. So if it doesn't work out with them, it'll work out with someone else. Okay? It just will. That's how that goes. And trust me, I know it's ghetto. It is so ghetto being a baby mama and thinking about multiple baby daddies is scary. But me and my baby gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. So we're moving forward, onward, upward. Okay. I know a lot of you are skeptical about talking to people with children, but I can assure you, the baby mamas now, today, we don't give a damn. You can have them. I have exited the rat race. I am not a threat. I want you to be around for a long time, not a good time. You can hold my son, put him on your story. I trust his judgment. I really do. I really, really do. I just want you guys to be happy. I swear I do. Now, I'm not a threat, but you know, I can't speak for the other hoes that you don't know about. You know, maybe odds ever be in your favor.
Others? Okay, I would like to talk to you.
Here for it.
The real Brittany Redder.
You choose Islam. I didn't. I am a human with very limited power and awareness, but I have learned that God selects who He wills for His mercy. So let's start there. For those of you who don't think
it's so good.
A lot of you want to know my life story, why I do what I do. Well, then you would know that for quite a while I've been suffering.
God has forgiven her. Why can't you?
My smile began to look like a strain. And when you noticed, did you reach out? Okay. I've been in search of the truth my whole life, looking for some sort of guidance in the stars, astrology, numerology. But the truth is, the only guidance is God's guidance. And when you don't live for God, you live for others. My life has been a reflection of that. I have profited off my body, beauty, antics, often drunken, giving myself to the world, hoping for something back, wondering why I'm feeling empty.
This bitch is worth it, Sneeko. Sneeko needs to wipe this bitch up now.
We as humans would call them miracles, but to God,
Sneeko, come get your girl.
Miracles another day at the office.
He's
At
buying
that
the
point,
ticket as
how
we
could I
speak.
deny the truth? Because when those mountains started being moved, it was only because of prayer and acknowledging our Creator. That was the only difference.
Having a flashback there
Islam
with
is
the
only
finger snapping.
religion I've been drawn to. And when I got the call that it was time, I took my Shahada August 5th. Haven't looked back. All I know is utter devotion. So to put the hijab on, to change, it's nothing. Done. Allah has been answering my questions along the way. He called me to this faith for a reason. And I will not question it. You know when people say it would take an act of God? Okay, well, here you have it. And for those of you who are confused,
The future. Like, we're going to clean all this shit up, not just the homeless crisis, but the wars and all that stuff. Women need to take their rightful place as the ones running shit. Women
Absolutely. Get up in there. Take care of the homeless crisis.
There we go.
It's working so well right now.
Write songs. I don't know. Do expeditions to Antarctica or whatever. It's all cool shit. I'm not bashing on men. Try creating life in your
But I am
womb.
bashing on that.
But I am.
Try creating life. My mother was the closest thing I ever got to experience to God. Whether she was a good mother or not is irrelevant. My mother created me. Women need to be president. Women need to run the world. Future. Like, we're going to clean all this shit up, not just the homeless crisis, but the wars and all that stuff. Women need to take their rightful place as the ones running shit. Women are as close as you're going to get to God. Men can build buildings, write songs, I don't know, do expeditions to Antarctica or whatever. It's all cool shit. I'm not bashing on men. Try creating life in your womb. Try creating life. My mother was the closest thing I ever got to experience to God. Whether she was a good mother or not is irrelevant. My mother created me. Women need to be president. Women need to run the world.
Wait till this guy finds out that those exact women he obviously worships find his disingenuous pandering extremely unattractive and revolting.
Probably. I'm sorry. Can you stop breathing so loud, honey? He's like, breathe quietly. Do you hear yourself breathing? Does anyone hear him breathing?
People are single women and married men. They're the two happiest groups of people always.
Single women
And married men.
are the happiest.
But the happiest groups of people, like not married women. Married women like end up doing all the jobs, and married women aren't happier than single women. Single women are happier than married women, and married men are really happy because they get everything done for them.
Date someone from Chick-fil-A. Someone from Chick-fil-A is probably gay. Like,
wait, what?
I feel like people that work at like Chick-fil-A or Starbucks are literally like not someone I would like to date.
So they're also the same thing at Starbucks too?
Yeah, people at Starbucks, most guys are feminine. Like, I don't try to be mean or anything, but I don't like the guys at Starbucks. I would like a guy that like serves or a random guy.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Just like any guy. I just don't think someone at
She's
Starbucks
not
I like
wrong,
to
though.
date
That's
because
the
usually they're not my
thing.
type, and if they are,
Yes.
it's someone that just wants to.
She's not
and every
wrong.
guy just like wants.
Wait,
So, like,
hold on. The Starbucks guys just want to.
Yeah, like just every guy.
They
just
just
think
wanna
of them. Like, you just want to fuck. Because like that's how everyone is in like Florida. I don't want to just date someone that's like a random like person that just got out of high school and
She
is
wants
at like
the
a
bad
drive-through
boy.
place. I want someone to
She's
like,
all right.
know what
She
I'm
wants the
doing and
first
respect
six
what I'm doing.
She can demand that now. That's the
She
thing.
can
Is like
pull it,
everybody.
sure.
I love it when people like get like really like indignant over stuff. Like I'll hold on to this one. We'll come back to it.
Videos where it's like, guys, nobody cares when you do this with your tricep.
Nobody cares about when you do that and there's like muscles there. Nobody cares about that. We don't want to see that. That's not what we want to see. So you can like do that with like your
There you go.
guys in like a subtle homoerotic way, but like we don't care.
It's like, yeah, I know you don't care. But guess what? For me, it's cool. This is.
I don't care if you care. I fucking care.
They wouldn't get it. We know. Me and you, we get it.
Damn right.
I love this dude. No, he's like on everything he's about to do that.
Now he's grown.
Higher suicide rate than we've ever seen in men. You want to know why? Because we've taught people that they don't need to feel their feelings, and if they do, they should be ashamed and they should feel disappointed in themselves because they're men. Right?
Yeah.
So we've bred a culture in society over the past 20, 30 years where we've said we've gone through war after war after war. We've had the worst economic states happen in the United States. We have people losing their homes and their businesses through COVID. And then we're like, oh, men, don't cry because you're weak if you do. What are we doing? Do you not realize that you're going to break a human being? It's not that difficult to do.
Yeah.
And so we all say we have problems with it while all perpetuating the same behaviors, while not all of us are doing anything to do anything about it. So part of the problem is there's got to be an accountability on some level. We have to say to each other, why aren't you calling me? Why aren't you involving me in your life? We as individuals have to make the extra steps to show up for the community that apparently nobody seems to have anymore. And that connection that's missing from society and is why the suicides are the way they are and climbing.
No, they're not, you dumb cunt. Welcome back. I've got Jim Kilgore in the house with me. He is our style counselor for as you can see from his he's the most interesting man in the world.
Just give me if anybody knew a couple shots of tequila and I'll prove it.
He is where Justin Waller will be at like 57.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Yes, I hate seeing stuff like this, and the reason I actually saved that one for the end because I knew you were going to be here. Now,
yeah, right.
Jim is, I would say you're probably like the fourth horseman of the Reignite apocalypse.
Oh yeah.
And we just got back from the Pink Party out at Babes in Toyland in Los Angeles, and we took the Camaro out there and back.
We did, man.
Going out was much more fun than coming back. So we're out there and we stayed at the Mondrian. We were there for like 4 or 5 days. It was good.
Yeah, it was. It was awesome.
We met up with the guys.
Great hotel.
And the guys from Reignite, our flagship program. Yep. And the reason why I wanted to start with this video here, I'm going to get to that other chick that was on whatever, because that was pretty good too.
That was good.
But so the reason I brought this up is because one of the things I see all the time is there's this. I mean, the charter, I guess. I hate to use the term mission statement, but like if we have a mission statement for Reignite, it's like we're trying to like sort of take the noose off guys' necks, you know. In the figurative sense, YouTube, that's not in the literal sense. Okay. Maybe sometimes. But one of the reasons why we started Reignite was because we wanted to sort of reach out to the guys who are in this target demographic of really 45 to 65, but we kind of have adjusted that a little bit. It's 40 plus now. So
sure. No, I think it's really good.
Yeah. Which is much better way of doing it. And, I just talked to Jason Hartman on the drive over here to Red One Studios, which we're back here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Home
away from home.
Yes. Well, now I am now completely done with Reno. So, but I talked to Jason, and Jason really gave me 2 thumbs up for the whole thing because he wants to get involved now too. So we're gonna have Jason.
Awesome.
Jason will be in studio tomorrow. I'm going to do a special edition of The Rational Male with Jason, and if I can get Charlie and get some other people in here too, we might have just sort of a roundtable discussion. Yeah. In case you guys are also wondering, Marquette from Saint and Sinner actually has his own show in his own studio here in Las Vegas. I'm also working on getting a one-on-one with him and me, and maybe Mike Sartain too, just to spice things up a little bit. But we have been busy as hell. I'm usually pretty busy because I gotta keep a lot of irons in the fire. But like once we started Reignite, it is like a full-time job now. And I don't mean just going and doing fun stuff like going and you know rubbing into 2800 cc boobs. There's a story behind that. We'll talk about the stories. But yeah, it was a good charity event. It was for breast cancer awareness. Of course, it's being October. That was the charity that Steve Fallow, who is the founder of Babes in Toyland, decided we were going to do. But getting back to the 40 plus demographic, I mean, that is the prime demographic for male self-deletion. And so whenever I hear some chick tell me why she thinks that the deletion rate of men ages 45 or is so high, but it depends on whose numbers or what demographic you're targeting. It's as high as 3.5, and I've seen it as high as 5, depending on what age bracket we're actually looking at. So the aggregate is really more like 4. Like 4 times as likely for men to successfully self-delete than women. Of course, what happens then is we got to go, well, women attempt it more. Men 4 times as likely to self-delete, women most affected. Right.
Correct.
And so we've got this pervasive narrative of let's find a way to lessen the impact. Let's find a way to sort of like place the blame back on toxic masculinity, back on emotionalism, which is really what this chick does. And the reason why I used that last clip is because that's primarily what most women will do, is they'll use it as a social construct. They'll say the reason why you have 3.5 to 4 times the deletion rate is because they were taught toxic masculinity. And I will tell you right now, it's horseshit. And has been horseshit for a long time. It's not about social constructionism. It's not about toxic masculinity. It's simple pragmatism. Yep. It's men rebuilding themselves. And that's really what Reignite's about, right? It's like, we're here to help you rebuild yourself. And if you've ever seen any of the, or read any of the work I've done on getting zeroed out.
Yeah, that's the term I like that you use.
I use it because throughout a man's life, he's going to be zeroed out at some point. Sooner or later, and usually multiple times. Yeah. So, and how you sort of snap back from failure or from defeat is at least as important as how you like sort of handle success, right? Yeah. So we have this culture. If there is a cultural narrative, it's about this emotionalism. It's about, oh, we need to talk about it more. Oh, but it's about, because we have to, cry it out, boy, kind of thing. And it's like, no, it's not like that. That's simply not how men fucking process emotions. And when we look at the statistics and we look at the studies and we look at we can look at fMRI studies. I mean, like literal, like it's quantitative studies here, like set you up with whatever they do for like I think they put like probably like diodes or something on your head. We can see that men do not process emotion the same way that women do. They do not have the hardware that women do when it comes to processing emotion, and especially negative emotions. Yeah. Men tend to default to anger. Women tend to default to crying, right? So just because the guy isn't crying doesn't mean he's like emotionally stunted or he's been in some way damaged emotionally. He doesn't need therapy. You know what he needs? He needs to get in the squat rack. That's his therapy. Yep. Right. Not go see some therapist, not go and see some psychiatrist or something. And not the self-help books that are supposed to help women but never do. That guy's not going to benefit from that kind of stuff. Right. So that's why we're doing this. And so when I hear stuff like this and I hear this diagnosis from these armchair psychologists saying what they think is the right thing to say, it's what I call sounds right logic, because we've heard this enough times that it sounds like this is the reality of it. And the fact of the matter is we have so much more education and so much more knowledge about why men self-delete and how men and women process emotion and what the priorities of those emotions being processed are, or how men essentially make a pragmatic, efficient decision to off themselves because they're faced with a question. I can either rebuild myself or I can delete myself. And tragically, too many guys delete themselves because they don't see any way forward and they don't see any way to make
I think with I love it how you say zeroed out, because that's exactly what it feels like. It's a loss of value of trying to reestablish in your own mind your own self-value. And it doesn't matter if it's the first time or if it's the third or fourth or fifth time that you've been zeroed out in your life, but it's harder as you're older because there's less time. It's harder to recover from. So even if you've done it, even if it's happened 2 or 3 times, like, oh, you've had some practice, you should be okay at this. No, because each time that it happens again, it's even harder to recover from. And that's why I think you see the numbers extrapolate up as they get older into the older age groups.
Exactly. That's when you get into the 5 times as likely range. And then the other thing that they never want to talk about on any one of these shows, on Tom Bilyeu, on Chris Williamson, on any of these shows that are supposed to be these in-depth, real, thought-provoking, probing interviewers, they never want to talk about the fact that like men who are going through a divorce are 8 times as they're already 4 times as likely. No. Now they're 8 times as more likely because they've been put through this.
Correct. They've lost so much of their own ego, and then they've had invested so much time into what they've accomplished, and they're losing half or losing all.
It's a loss. It's sunk cost is what it is. It is. And I hate to I mean
that's how we look at it as men.
Yeah, it's how sunk cost. Why bother? That's what it comes down to. Why bother going on?
Yeah.
And if you can just get past this point and stop thinking in terms of this sort of female dynamic and this female feminized emotionalism, you can actually help guys.
Right.
That's why we're doing Reignite. The reason I'm so emphatic about this right now is because We work with 3 guys just this weekend out in Los Angeles at our Airbnb and everything. And I am watching. I don't know if they want me to name names, so I'm not going to name names.
No, that's okay. Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know who I'm talking about. Guys who have been part of the program since before the program was a program, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And watching the progression from no style, coming out of a bad relationship, a sexist relationship. Guy gets into he gets into stellar shape, but he still has no social skills. He's got enough money to be a mark, to be a target for sugar babies, but is still sort of naive about the whole thing. And I think I was mentioning this to the group later on. Is like one of the things that I worry about when these guys are like sort of coming out of a bad relationship and they're trying to reintegrate themselves into the sexual marketplace.
Correct.
Is all it takes is one girl to do this to them.
Yeah.
Like
that hasn't happened in a long time.
just Kino or whatever, or like touchy feely. Like there's some women there's some women who like sort of punctuate their conversations with touchy Kino, right? Just that act of Kino is enough for that guy to go, she's the one. She's the one. I've been waiting for this bitch all my life. My ex-wife of the shrew I married 20 years ago would never have ever touched me like that in any way. Right. And I feel like this must be some sign from Jesus, And I'm just like, bro, back to that's the Molly talking. That's not actually how she really is.
That's why Reignite's so important as a follow-on from like reading the Rational Male. I remember, and that's what helped me through reading Rational Male towards the back end of the book. It talks about the fact that, we are better together than apart. But if you're in a sexless marriage, if you're in a marriage that's not working, you're better off alone and start over. There is a path for you. There is a light at the end of the tunnel for you, but we need to help them figure that out as well, because once they are out of that marriage and now they're single, man, and it's a different world now. Especially for these guys.
I think there is it's a huge mistake. And this is like, I lay this right at the feet of the MGTOW / black pill community, right? Is there's this big misnomer, I think, that it's like, oh, it's cheaper to keep her, right? I'm sure you probably heard that stupid little thing. And for guys who have the money, yes.
Right.
But most guys, like the average American guy who's in a shit marriage like that, money is the last thing he's got to worry about. He's there because he's dedicated. He's committed to the trail. It is more work to go back than it is to go forward.
Correct.
Right.
He's invested so much. Yeah. He doesn't want to lose that investment.
Yeah. And thinking that if I just stick it out, if I just earn enough of these little gold stars, it's like this. Yeah. It's this. I'm not doing enough, so I'm just going to keep doing more. It's like being the horse in Animal Farm. I will work harder. Because I'm clearly not working hard enough here, because if I was working hard enough, she would be fucking me.
Yeah.
If I was working hard enough, we wouldn't have these problems. And so the problems of the wife become the problems of the guy. And it's not about cheaper to keep her. It's not about, I don't want to go through a divorce. I can tell you right now, just talking as I have been with Jim Sexton for the last, year and a half, 2 years, that's not what it's about. That might be the precipitator of it. Like she might start making more money. He might have lost prestige. He might have lost status in his job, or what he ceases to become the man that she married. Right. Like, I married him because he had a lot of status. He was, hot. He was tall. He was fun. He was this, he was that, and everything. And then when they get into a marriage sort of arrangement and they get into this routine, all that newness and all that challenge and all the stuff that used to keep her like really engaged, all of that goes away, and it's traded for mowing the lawn, smelling his farts, sitting across from him while he's chewing on his fucking, cereal, whatever, and then.
Listening to him breathe.
Yeah, listening to him breathe, for fuck's sake, man. I know. You want to, like, that guy, that's not cheaper to keep her. Get out. Just get out. Man.
I think it was incredibly important to hear it. It was really hard to go through the journey of getting to the point of accepting what you said in the book, that, hey, there's a light. You can get through this and you will be better off. Go for it. Don't stay where you are.
And
there's no need for you to do
yourself went through, and I talk about however much you want to, but like you yourself have gone through this yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm still, through this journey. And that's why I love being able to hang out with you and talk about it for hours on the drive back and forth.
Clearly. Yeah. More hours coming back.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. That was Friday afternoon. It was not a great time to try to come back
to go to Vegas. Yes. LA to Vegas at about 4:00 is not a good trip.
And I will be, Rollo knows I'm much more of an open book. I do try to keep some of it as much as I can private for my ex-wife. I don't want her to be embarrassed by any of it or anything. Sure. But I'll as the time things come to me, I will bring them up. I don't have a problem with that. But yeah, it was your book was key. We talked about it before. My son said, "Dad, you should really read this book."
Mm-hmm. Oh, your son was the one that
remember Jake?
Yeah,
Jacob.
Yeah,
Jacob's like, he came back home from being over. We were in Australia, and he came back over from being in the Marines in the U.S. after COVID. And he just saw that things weren't really working out between us. And he's so aware of a lot of things. And he was red pill aware. And he just said, "Hey, maybe you should read this book, Rational Male." Mm-hmm. And it took me a little while, aside from the font. And but that's changing. And I had to put it down a couple times. There was a couple points in there that were just, wow, that's tough. That's tough medicine to take when you realize you've made that mistake and that mistake and that mistake. Mm-hmm. But it was key. Like I said, if you're in the right place mentally and spiritually, or however, that book, it's an epiphany. It'll really open you up, and it, like I said, it does what you want it to do. I know why you wrote the book. Mm-hmm. It was your brother-in-law,
was
right?
That? I think
was
a lot of people
to it, right? But was at the end of it after I've gone through this portion of the journey and I met you, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I think that was really important, because I don't know, maybe self-deletion would have been something to consider, but after reading the book, it never was.
Yeah.
It just never was.
Yeah. All the stuff that went down with my brother-in-law when he self-deleted, it wasn't so much the self-deletion. I mean, that was pretty rough to fucking deal with. Right. But like, it was what came afterwards.
Yeah, watching everyone's reaction to
all
it, right?
of the rationales that came after, like they're trying to sort of like retcon what had happened,
right?
Just so that nobody's to blame. Yep. Like, oh, it's just he had something wrong with him, or
because they know the circumstances,
and they don't want to actually
point
confront
fingers
that. And it's like, and it's amazing to me, like my brother-in-law, who was married to my wife's sister, was the one who ended up self-deleting himself, right? Then they both have like a natural brother who actually ended up dying at like 39 in his sleep, just like heart arrhythmia or something like that, just punched his ticket, right? And I will tell you this right now, is everybody on the date that their brother passed away, everybody remembers. They stop for a minute. They're like, just it's really tough for my mother-in-law, for obvious reasons. But everybody sort of just holds their breath for a moment of silence, kind of thing, on that particular date, right? No one has that for the guy who deleted himself. Nobody cares. Nobody, because they've sort of compartmentalized that. They've made up the decisions of what they're. And this, by the way, it's variations by order of degree that I hear from chicks like that one in that last video. Like there can't be a reason. A woman cannot be the reason for a man's self-deletion. So they will always. It's toxic masculinity. We teach them to be this way. We teach them to bottle their emotions up. It's like, no, they just don't do that, because they don't have the hardware. They don't have the evolved firmware. We process emotions differently. I can show you fMRI scans of how men and women's like brain synapses work. If you lay them on top of each other, there are complements to one another, which obviously, to me anyways, is proof positive that men and women are better together than we are apart. The problem is that we fuck up our software. And our software is this idea that, well, women can never be the catalyst for a guy to actually off himself. Right. And yes, I'm gonna actually read this real quick, because this was a too good one. I will get to the other ones here real quick, but I was going to talk about this anyways. Liam Payne, who's the guy the singer from One Direction, life spiraled downward. Now he's gone. He fell out of a 3-story building. Apparently, just fell out. Yes. Yeah.
And his ex-girlfriend just broke up with him, I think, like a year prior or something.
Right.
And he was still trying to contact her.
Yeah, he still had it bad. Yeah, he was down bad for her still. And then he had just gone through some sort of breakup with another chick at that time.
Still pining.
Yeah. And so what does Rollo Tomassi do? Rollo Tomassi pops off and says, yes, the red pill saves lives. If this guy had my book, or if he had access to even like Ryan Stone, I don't care, whoever, like, if he had access to this, things might have gone a little bit differently. If he had been, And if somebody had given him a book, if somebody had given him some sort of advice like that, and I will tell you this, I people think I jump off the rails too quickly on this. I think he was on child support and had a serious case of one-itis. Yeah, most likely. The reason why I bring that up is because one, I see the signs. I've seen them firsthand by my own firsthand, and then also. There was an individual named Anthony Bourdain who actually had a very similar experience to this, and everybody responded to it exactly the same way, right? They were like, oh, it wasn't Asia Argento, who was his girlfriend at the time. Right. In fact, Rose McGowan and all her sisters in the quote-unquote as above, so below sisterhood. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Everyone wanted to say it wasn't her. You can't blame his death on Asia Argento. Well, guess what? Just this year there was a documentary that comes out, and apparently we can actually, at least at the very least, she was set up the catalyst for what was going on, and all these texts come out later on, and just sort of digging into the life and times of Anthony Bourdain. Again, tragic. Yeah. But I remember when that happened in 2018, and it was myself and Pat Campbell, we immediately started talking about that. That was a topic of discussion for quite some time. And we said we did the same thing, and exactly the same thing happened. You can't talk, you don't know him. He was on Xanax. He had whatever, like this list of things that it could have been. Yeah. No, it was Asia Argento. He wanted her to be his one. He literally wrote down, and now that we know, literally was writing letters and stuff. You're the love of my life. You're the one. You're my soulmate. Blah blah blah. And that's just how he was. He wore his heart on his sleeve. And this is a guy, because people kept throwing. Hell, I get the questions even today. They'll say, why would a guy like as paid as Anthony Bourdain, famous, basically goes around and eats food all over the world, and gets paid for this shit? And people will say, well, it was Epstein and it was this. And I'm like, no, man, it's so much simpler than that. He was very blue pill. He was what I would call a blue pill alpha. He was certainly not red pill. And in every other aspect of his life, he's probably very much an alpha guy, certainly in his business. Yeah, he was an older gentleman. He was 63, I think, when he himself.
He was in his 60s for sure.
So he was, for all intents and purposes, outward appearances anyways, he was very much in control of his life, except for that one area. Same thing with One Direction kid, Liam, what's his name? Liam Neeson, Liam Payne. And so I see the signs. And so when people well, you don't know that, Rollo, you can't say anything. It could have just been an accidental death. And so I'm just like, dude, I see exactly the similarities that go on, not just from my own experiences, but also with Anthony Bourdain and with a lot of other guys as well.
Right.
So when you look at that and you see those predictable frameworks, I'm gonna call it out immediately. And I need to call it out immediately because that's exactly what I did with Asia Argento. And I think I was vindicated over that pretty well. But it wasn't even so much the vindication. It was, we need to talk about this stuff because no one wants to talk about it. No one wants to have the discussion that the catalyst for this guy putting a noose around his neck was because Asia Argento was photographed by the paparazzi in Italy with her 29-year-old boy toy at that time, which set him off.
Right.
Which, of course, because the guy was over-invested and over-emotional about the whole thing. Again, if the dude had read The Rational Male, if he was red pill, would it have saved his life? I can't say yes or no, but I would probably say more likely no than yes.
Correct. Yeah. It's the best chance. It doesn't, you can take a horse to water. I mean, I had just lost a friend. I told you about him, about a week ago, and top 1% earner working for a major airline as a captain, and girlfriend broke up with him. And I thought I'd connected up with him enough. We had a couple conversations. I told him my journey. I told him about your books. I recommended a couple of them to him. Thought he was pretty well squared away, and didn't work out.
Yeah. Well, when they get
self-deleted,
when you get overly, again, it's like, and I hate that too, because it's funny to me because like in other aspects of the guy's life, he's not zeroed out.
No,
he's like,
absolutely not.
I think a lot of people think that when I talk about being zeroed out, it just means like you lost your job, right? Or you got divorced or something like that. It could be any of those things. It's a setback is what it is. And how important, how significant that setback is to the guy is really what sort of defines what being zeroed out is. So, so like, for instance, I was at Alex Hormozy was saying, like, I remember when I was listening to Alex Hormozy one time, was relating this story about how I don't think he had got married at that time, but his wife was his girlfriend at that time.
Right.
And he had just was about ready to file for bankruptcy. And he was like, if you want to leave me, I completely understand. Like, he already understood the game back then. But here's this guy who everybody looks up to today as being sort of like the success guru, right? The guy who's going to teach you how to make $1 million and whatever, and your side hustle, and what is it, radical ownership? Well, I guess that would be Jocko Willink. But you know what I mean? It's like he's in that same cut from that same cloth, and here he is relating the story about being zeroed out. Now he overcame that, and he's married to whoever he's married to right now, and has definitely done well for himself. So the guys even guys who have a lot of money can still be zeroed out if they're still blue pill, if they still, subscribe to this emotionalist nonsense that I'm listening to woman after woman after woman pop off with. Now, the reason for that is whenever I saw like this chick who, like the girl I was just putting up on the screen, very similar to what I was listening to when my brother-in-law, offed himself. Right? They wanted to, like, I remember relating the situation, the scenario to women who didn't even know who he was, and they took my sister-in-law's side instantly. And I'm like, oh, maybe she was just over him. He couldn't the only thing, it was like the sisterhood uber alles. There was no connection. They'd never met in their lives. And the women I had related this by default took her side.
Yeah. And you're talking about the self-deletion side of things. And I think for guys in that demographic, that's what makes it so tough. Because James Sexton talked about it. He's like, well, what's the number one reason for divorce? He goes, the guy loses his job. He's no longer able to provide the lifestyle that she's accustomed to. Or you just see that kind of money coming in and you don't see it coming in anymore, and you can't unsee that. So it's a 1-2 punch. One, he gets kind of zeroed out in the way that he loses his job, and he's got time to recover. He's built up goodwill in the relationship. Maybe he's got a little bit of time, but if he doesn't get things together quickly, if he doesn't recover quickly, the divorce papers are soon to be on their way, right? Because she's going to be like, well, you're not what you were. And it's the 1-2 punch. And that's what makes it really tough to recover from. So here you are, you've lost your job. Now your marriage is on the rocks. Yeah. And it's like, where's the support? And it's like, and it's not in her nature. It's not in their nature. it's not a complaint. I understand. It's a feature, not a flaw.
Well, that's why, like, when I was watching what was going on with Anthony Bourdain and Asia Argento, who's his girlfriend at the time, and then Rose McGowan and all of literally they would call themselves the sisterhood. That's actually where I picked up the name, the sisterhood of Weird, right? And because it seemed to me like it didn't matter what the sort of grievance was that woman would sort of perpetrate. The girls always had their backs. Yeah. And I think you're right. And that's, as fucked up as that is for guys, that is a feature and not a bug, because that's really sort of part of the sisterhood uber alles is really an extension of women having to sort of watch each other's backs back in the day when they would become spoils of war. That's correct. According to the war brides dynamic, right? They had to have that sort of solidarity because we're all this sort of oppressed class of citizen. And so therefore it takes a village to raise a child. We need to, have midwives. There's, this mysticism, this feminine mystique that sort of circles around the women who are part of the tribe and who are integrated into the tribe.
Almost like an innate reaction,
right?
But it's built into their firmware.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, like when I bring up the war brides dynamic, and I bring up the fact that, like, say, like the Vichy French and or the Dutch women who would basically were good time girls for German officers at that time, and then they would have their head shaved and everything afterwards, because they had essentially betrayed the tribe, or in this case the nation, right, which is the greater version of the tribe, right? Yeah. And so, but we didn't kill them. We just shamed them. Yeah. We would kill the guys.
The hair grows back.
The guys would go to a firing squad and die.
Guys are dead.
Yeah, guys are dead if they were trying to say, well, you know what, I want to be on the winning side, kind of thing. But for women, we almost like expect it to be that way because I think I think there's something sort of in our human, like for men in particular, but I think women understand this as well, is that women will betray the tribe if it means survival.
Yeah.
And so when you look at like, say, like Stockholm syndrome and falling in love with your captors and stuff like that, it's just pragmatism. When you think about it, that's all it is just the most pragmatic response. And again, this is not so you will hate women or Rollo's busting on women again. No, I'm not. I'm just describing a dynamic that you can see that's evidenced throughout the course of history. And I'm not saying it's right or saying it's wrong. In some cases, it might be right because it kept that chick alive and she now has kids. And so it was a net benefit for her to betray her, like in altruism, right?
Correct.
To betray the tribe so that she could go on and the babies could go on. And like I keep saying, hypergamy, nature, evolution doesn't care how the babies are born. It cares that the babies are born.
That's the thing. The big population decline that they're talking about now, the birth rates and everything. But the people are still going to keep making babies. There's still that firmware out there that's people are going to have a higher proclivity for having children, and they're going to have them. The ones that don't.
Yeah,
they'll just go away.
Hey, put this one up real quick.
Date someone from Chick-fil-A. Someone from Chick-fil-A is probably gay. Like,
wait, what?
I feel like people that work at like Chick-fil-A or Starbucks are literally like not someone I would like to date.
So they're also the same thing at Starbucks too?
Yeah, people at Starbucks, most guys are Finneman. Like, I don't try to be mean or anything, but I don't like the guys at Starbucks. I would like a guy that like serves or a random guy.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Just like any guy. I just don't think someone at Starbucks I would like to date because usually they're not my type, and if they are, it's someone that just wants to and every guy just like wants
hold on. The Starbucks guys just want to
yeah, like just every guy, I just think of them like you just want to fuck. Because like that's how everyone is in like Florida. I don't want to just date someone that's like a random like person that just got out of high school and is at like a drive-through place. I want someone to like know what I'm doing and respect what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, it's definitely status for sure. Yes. Here, let me pull that up. There we go.
And she can demand that at this time.
I don't think she's wrong. No. Quite honestly, I don't think she's wrong. Everybody, it's whatever. I love you, Brian. It's whatever podcast, right?
Yeah.
It seems like really salacious, and it seems like, oh my God, shit, I can't believe women are like this. All you're doing, the reason why you're having a problem with this chick is because she is live in real time trying to square the circle of her own cognitive dissonance.
Yeah,
she's like, I don't want to get with the guy who would work at Starbucks unless he's hot and he's a fuckboy. And then, but even then, and so it's like this sort of back and forth. She, in her mind, she's sort of like saying, she's got it's what if logic, right? It's if then logic, I guess.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, unless he's a hot guy, but then those hot guys are fuck boys because they don't care about where they work at and whatever else. And it's like, yeah, well, she's right. She's right where she's at. Like she's just being pragmatic.
Yeah.
She just wants what she wants because that's.
And she might be starting to come into that age where she is starting to look for the status a bit more.
Most likely.
She's got the chatter Tyrone that she can go hook up. I would say maybe late 20s.
Well, let me see.
25 to 27. What do you think, Kyle?
Or date someone from Chick-fil-A. Someone from Chick-fil-A.
Well, I'm just going to pause it real quick. How old do you think she is?
25, 26.
Yeah, I was going to say.
She's late 20s, I'd say.
Late 20s?
Yeah, mid to late 20s. Probably.
So she's coming into that where it's like, well, if I want to settle down.
College.
She's looking for, she's starting to look for a man with benefits.
For a different demo,
they're looking for that lifestyle. Not 20 years old. I can tell you that right now.
Rollo says they're she's starting to look at guys for the lifestyle they can provide.
Yeah,
because she has 2 or 3 orbiters. She's got the chatter Tyrone that she can text at 2 a.m. To itch a scratch. That's not an issue.
She is at probably the tail end of the party years right there.
Yeah.
That's why she's still
she's attractive
because
so
she still considers she'll still consider a fuck. She'll still consider a fuck boy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, no, she has them when she needs them. That's not the primary goal. It's shifting now. The primary goal is shifting, which is fine.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what happens here. Because if you look, like I put physicality there from 15 on, right? And then there's status that starts. So status is actually something that she's probably.
I did read your book.
Yeah, you did. This is from book 2, though. This is from preventative medicine.
I have.
And then affluence and provisioning come like right around 30, which of course is the average age of marriage for women, right?
Right.
So. Nice to know that I was right all the way back in 2015.
I knew it.
Thank you. Like a fucking wizard. I know.
I'll never claim to have an original thought around Rollo.
Hey, let me tell you, you know what? I was telling Kyle this. You want to talk, speaking of original thoughts, Red Pill Daily fuck you. Fuck you and the fucking horse you rode in on. I've been bringing this up for the last 2 shows. I brought up the idea. This was my. I've not. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm the one who came up with this, or at least I'm the only one who like I've ever heard this from. But I was bringing up this fact. It just occurred to me that the last couple of shows I brought this up is that women like this chick right here, and damn near every chick that's on whatever podcast, they're following a life plan that is like basically the plot of Pretty Woman. Guess what?
Right.
Red Pill Daily,
Right.
these faceless fucking Red Pill channels are now. Oh, women are following the Red Pill, or are following the script from Pretty Woman. I'm like, dude, I want here. Sign right here. I want my fucking residuals.
There you
bitch.
go.
God.
Yeah.
Like and
Copyright infringement.
literally within like not even like can you, if you're gonna rip me off, give me like a few days, right? Not the day after I do the fucking show.
24
man.
hours.
Don't make it that obvious.
They
right?
watched it live.
If you're gonna plagiarize, just don't make it that obvious. Like wait till Friday, okay? Holy shit. I couldn't believe that. I'm like, because somebody said that to me. He goes, didn't you talk about this yesterday?
Yeah.
Like, you're goddamn right. I talked about this yesterday.
Goddamn right.
God, that pissed me off too. I was going to say is like, I'm getting to the point right now. It's like when we were at Babes in Toyland, and we're walking around, and I'm meeting girls that like, you know the girl I'm talking about. I'm meeting girls there that I've never met before, but like a lot of people already know me there. And
Right.
even if they don't know me, they know me because they know me by my face, or they know me with
Sure.
association with Mike and stuff like that too. And so I'll be there, and I'll be talking to this one girl, and she was like, I could tell she was kind of giving me the look. You know, she was very handsy, right? That's why I was
Molly.
like, guys,
Little
watch
bit of
out for
Molly.
well, Molly does a lot of makes women make bad decisions. I'm just saying, okay. But she didn't know who I was until like I'm like, you know, kind of working my way through the crowd. And you remember where the stairs are that lead
Yep.
up to the pool
Yeah,
area?
go on.
So I'm hanging on the stair, and I had 2 guys come up and hit me up. They go, I love it when they do this. They kind of look at me like, you're all Tomasi, right? Like, I'm like, yes, I am. So
Right.
then I talked to them and like, oh, your book saved my life. And they wanted down. Hey, look,
Sure.
now that I got you here, can I tell you about my problems? You know, like, Jesus Christ.
How do I solve? How do I get swollen?
Yeah, how do I get my girlfriend back? Yes. Peptides.
Oh, that too. Yeah. And yeah.
Frag
Yeah.
149 or whatever it is. Yeah, that's all. Nothing
LR3
else.
frag 1.
Yes. Go work out with Hide Yamagishi. No, but so Babes.
So
so
they're
Babes
asking
Toyland
a
was
question.
awesome.
So you're walking up the stairs. That was to the right of where Mike was set up, right? So
Yeah.
you're walking up the stairs, and you met the.
So yeah, I met her there, and then I'll tell you, man, like social proof is, because I would consider that social proof, not necessarily I mean, there's a lot of pre-selection there too, but after that point, it's like she's like, oh, you know, like this guy is actually somebody. Like
You
people
are
know who
somebody.
this guy is,
Yeah.
right? And so like sometimes when you're in those situations, like I don't even realize it until I'm in those situations, because I'm so like not in those situations most of the time. Like
Sure.
I have a very like sort of plain vanilla routine.
Sheltered life.
here. Yeah. Well, I mean, I get up in the
As
morning,
much as it
I
can be in
run
Vegas.
4 miles with my dogs. I go to Powerhouse Gym. If you guys ever want to see if I'm in Powerhouse Gym, it's usually from 10 o'clock till probably 11:30 in Powerhouse Gym. So there you go, in Las Vegas. So great. So now if you want to find me, that's where you find me. And then I come back, and then I'm pretty much working all the time. I'm doing something for the studio. I'm doing something for Reignite. I'm doing something for my book. And so like when I go out and I do these things, I've said this before. People need to be reminded of who you are. I need to be reminded of who I am sometimes too.
That's right.
So when you go out to those, and it's weird for me, it's a weird experience for me to go to these events and have that happen, because I get so much hate and so much shit slung at me on a regular basis. And
The
I
trolls.
realize that I have to sort of like take that with a grain of salt, because like there's more people that like me than hate my guts. So
Yeah. I'd still rather be happy to have 10 people that I helped than 100 people that hate me for it.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah, I don't care about them.
Sam Bada in the chat woke me up to this one time. He said, how many people watched your show last night? And I looked at the stats and I go, 25,000. Okay. How many people commented on it? Let's see, 100, right? Okay. And of those 100, how many people gave you shit? 5, 10, you know?
Yeah.
So 5% of the people who took the time to actually put a comment down there out of 25,000 people and growing are actually the ones that hate you guys. Like, it's such a small, minute portion. And the only reason you give it importance is because they fucking they throw shit at you.
That's it. Yeah. It's always tough, the criticism sometimes.
It's Ed Lattimore told me about that one time too. He's like, there are more people that love you than hate you.
Oh,
he's like,
for
you
sure.
just fixate on
You just don't hear
from
you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Speaking of people who love me, The Rational Trucker, I just saw the clip you mentioned of Black Sails. Great series. I love Black Sails. I was reminded of a line that goes, but pity the warrior who slays all his foes. Yes, it has nothing else to accomplish.
What else is there to accomplish? That's right.
The West has come so far, we have nothing left to pursue. Yeah. It's funny you should bring that up because I kind of
good times.
I allude to this. It's not even so much good times. It's like shit's tapped out, right? Yeah. The one of the things I alluded to, I kind of got into it a little bit in my book on religion, and I probably should get into it a little bit deeper, is that men don't have frontiers anymore. We don't have things to explore. And if we did have something to explore, somebody was already there and they know something way more than you do about it. They take anything you're fascinated by right now, and you could probably find like multiple videos on it on YouTube. Right. I think one of the reasons why music is still sort of stuck in where it's in right now, that there's not been a major development in music really since the 50s.
Since the
1950s.
You're right.
And I mean, there's metal, there's rock, there's stuff like that. But like right since about
10, 15
maybe the
years,
80s,
especially.
Like right around then, like we're still going back to those songs, we're still going back to those styles, and we're still 4/4 rock and roll kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Or rap's been around forever.
You see all these
rhythm and blues.
You see these rock bands that are coming out from our time, and just after 80s, 90s, they're coming out on tour, and you go to the concerts, and it's all young people.
Oh yeah, fully.
It's all young people. They're all into it.
Aftershock was
like
just
this was all done before you were even a thought.
Aftershock was just last week.
That's right.
Up in Sacramento, I think, and Slayer comes
Breaking
out and
Benjamins
plays.
was here Tuesday.
Yeah, we got Mastodon was playing
Slipknot,
there. Anthrax was playing. Anthrax, I've seen Anthrax play to some pretty big crowds, and then they kind of when they're on tour, I don't like on their own. I don't think they play to the size of the crowds that are at Aftershock Festival. Right. And so when I'm looking at this, I'm like, God damn, there's a lot of people there, right? And yeah, there's a ton. I saw this one drone footage shot of when Mastodon was playing, and it's like towards the evening and nighttime and stuff, and you just see this ocean of people, and they're just like churning. It looks like an ocean, right? Because they're all just jamming out and rocking out. I'm like, that's how many people are into this. And you don't hear anything about. You would never hear anything about that in the mainstream unless you're in that genre. You're not going to hear anything about it. And you have to want to go. And again, it's multi-generational too. So like last time I saw it was before Slayer like retired, and then they didn't retire. I saw Anthrax, Slayer, and Hatebreed was on there, and then also Death Angel were playing on the same ticket. And when Anthrax was playing, they get into like playing like Indians, or they play something like Cotton Mosh or something like that. And they'll stop this. They'll like right before they start the show, like they know people are going to go off. And they go, if you have kids, hold them back from the pit right now, because they don't want your kids to get like guys will get over excited about it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, make sure you keep your kids out of the pit, because this is going to be a good one, right? So it's funny how they do that, but they know that it's multi-generational.
That's
now.
right.
But again, we're not like breaking any new ground. We're not doing anything. I mean, Anthrax has come out with some really good new music. Not that anybody but me has heard it, right? But the idea is that there's nothing really, there's no new ground to cover, right? Yes, we flew to the moon. Thank you very much. But we did it. Been there, done that. Got the T-shirt. Thanks.
Yeah.
Like when I was talking about Black Sails is like a really good series, because I think historical and period series on Netflix and stuff like that do really well, because it's sort of because it's a semi just based on a true story.
Yeah.
And it's the history of Nassau, right? And how it became Nassau, right? And that was back in a time where you could literally be a pirate. You could like take over. You could just basically steal a ship and become a pirate captain, right? And it was a time where like it was a new world. They were still exploring things. They still, even in colonial America, they were still hadn't moved all the way west at that point. We hadn't really sort of circumnavigated the world as much as we have, and we didn't have that kind of understanding of it.
Right.
Now, like I remember watching. You ever see that movie, The Conjuring? It's like it's kind of a horror movie. It's like a scary movie. Like my daughter like really liked it. She's like, "Oh man, this is such a great movie." And then we were watching Stranger Things, like the first two, right? Not so much the latest ones, but like the first two. And my daughter came up to me one time. She says, the reason why shit is scary is because this is in the past. Is because like Stranger Things takes place in 1983, 1981.
Yeah.
And then The Conjuring takes place in the 70s, right? So there's no cell phone. Oh, hey, look, it's Michael Myers. Smile. You know,
Can you imagine?
I'm being chased with a chainsaw.
Somebody's chasing you. Got the TikTok going.
There's a guy with a chainsaw. Here's my position right now. Come get me. Come helicopter.
How many views am I getting?
Exactly. I don't know how many views am I getting. I know you live stream. There's your Halloween episode for you right there. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, because like the stuff that like we just sort of take for granted, it's all mundane right now. Like I can go like I just sent Jason Hartman like here's where the studio is. Show up tomorrow at 1:00, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to say, okay, then you make a turn here, then you make a left turn here, then you go here, and then you go up this, and then it's gone.
Life has gotten easy, but when I was saying, good times, it's just I just got done watching Masters because of Pilot. Got done watching Masters of Air, the Apple TV.
Good series.
First half of that series, they're going up. 30 ships in the squadron, 10 guys on an airplane. They lose half.
Yeah,
absolute savage. Half the and they're like, did you see
highest
these shoots?
Attrition rate of the war?
No shoots, and they got it because my grandfather, he was a navigator in bombers over in China, and his best friend Floyd was a bomber pilot. He was the captain on a bomb B-17 flying those missions back over in 43 and 44, and he did 50 sorties over Europe, and those guys have to come back. And they got to get up the next day and do it again, and do it again, and do
until they're dead, or they do like 23 or 20.
It was originally 25, and no one was making it. Because it was just they did a great job with the CGI. It was like so real. It was just so savage.
Good series.
It was a great series. And that's what I mean. It's like we just haven't had any.
I think the attraction to those series is the fact that like guys need frontiers. We need new places to fucking explore. Right?
We didn't have. We haven't had any like life-threatening issues on a civilization scale where everybody's in on this. We're all in this together. We've had some wars, we've done some things in the last 20 years, but it's been far away. It's been very small percentage of people that have had to go to participate in that. We love them all for it. And we thank them for their service.
For sure.
Yeah. But it's,
I mean, people can say, oh, we're going to fly to Mars. We're going to do this. And like,
we lose our originality, our creativity, like with the music. Everybody's complaining about the rappers. I remember watching 50 Cent and Snoop Dogg talking about how they don't, maybe it's different, but they don't like it. They don't like the newer stuff that's coming up. They make fun of it. It's like, it's just not, where's the creativity? Where's the originality? And that's what we're losing.
Well, I mean, when I listen to like guys like Scott Galloway or Jordan Peterson, these other guys talking about like how, men need to man up. They need to have theirs. I'm going to play a video here in just a minute, but it's Chris Williamson and Ben Shapiro. And Ben, of course, makes these classic mistakes.
Simp 1, Simp 2.
Well, it's like everybody wants to explain why we have such a crisis of quote unquote masculinity. First of all, they can't even define masculinity to begin with.
Right.
And then second of all, it's not they lack meaning or they need to go back to church or anything like that. No, they need a fucking mountain to climb, man. They need a frontier to explore. They need fucking purpose. They need something that men are innate natural problem solvers. And again, getting back to Reignite, right? The reason why I wanted to make it a different kind of program where we're not just sitting in a classroom, having somebody on a whiteboard or some shit like that. I'm like, we're sitting around in a nice casual, Airbnb. We got the couch going on there. We're shooting shit back and forth, and we're having a good conversation with this. Like we're talking like fucking guys talk, right?
That's right.
And like when I kept saying, I said, guys tend to communicate better when they have a shared interest, right? whether we're wrenching on a 4-barrel carburetor, or we're like out deep sea fishing, or playing golf, or we're, you know, out the gun range, whatever it is that mutual interest happens to be, that's where the communication happens. You want to talk, ladies, if you want men to go to therapy, that's your fucking therapy.
That's your therapy.
The squat rack is your fucking therapy. The you know, going and playing golf is your fucking therapy with your boys. Going and doing shit with your boys is fucking therapy, man. And you'll never fucking understand that because you're too stuck in this stupid ass emotionalism, and men need to be just like you. No, they don't, because as soon as they are like you don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, that's right. You'll resent them for it.
Yeah,
you'll resent them for
because women have boyfriends and girlfriends, and if you're not fucking her, you're her girlfriend, and that's a communications thing. He starts acting and behaving like you want him to, going to therapy and emoting like a woman. Guess what your subconscious equates him as? A girlfriend, and you don't want to fuck him. You have no desire whatsoever. You dry up immediately. So the minute you start talking about how guys need therapy and they need to be more emotionally available and they need to get in touch with their fucking emotions, and fuck off. No, guys don't need to do that. We need to accept the fact that men and women are different, and we respond to different things in different ways. And one of those things is having new fucking problems to solve, and having a new challenge, having a new creative challenge, right? Whether it's music or it's art or it's exploration, whether
a new
it's
engine block,
you know, a faster Camaro, putting a $8,000 supercharger and a 6-cylinder Camaro that should never have it. Yes. Don't do that. It's very dangerous, children.
Sounds amazing.
Yes. Yeah. It sounds amazing until yes. Don't do that. Let me get to some of these rest of these here. Millennials have started turning 43 years old. Yeah. The average age of divorce and deletion. How do you think millennials will deal with this stage of life?
It's going to be a real struggle.
We're already meeting them. I'm already dealing with them. In fact, it's funny is like when we started the Reignite program, people say, does it have to be 45? You know, and we're like, okay, 40 plus, whatever. Like, we're not going to turn, if you're 38, we're not going to turn you down. It's just like, guys in this demographic have a different sort of set of needs and a different sort of like set of challenges, I guess. And I was just talking to, like, we have to consider that like the guys that are in Reignite are from 2 different, in some cases, maybe even 3 different generations. Right? Yeah. So you're looking at like the millennials that are just coming into this, the early millennials. And then you're looking at Gen X. And then you're looking, which is my fucking generation. I am not a fucking boomer.
Since we're only 3 months apart.
These guys are boomer rock. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay, boomer. We're not boomers. We're Gen Xers, and that's what will fucking chew a hole right through you.
Yeah.
But
no, we're definitely not niche.
No, for sure. But like, if I look at like Robert Kiyosaki would technically be, although he is the least boomer of any boomer that I know, right?
Yeah.
But so, you know, if we're talking about guys who are 65 or 70, and like I said, Robert Kiyosaki, I would love to have him in the program, right? If for no other reason than to just have him come and hang out, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't really need the program, but I would love to have him there just to hang out.
This is the thing. This is what impressed me the most about the way that you and Joe Marin have worked together to structure this program out and what we did over those 3 days. Sure. I've been part of Men of Action with Mike Sartain. I've done an immersion course in Vegas and participated and hung around with that and lived in Vegas and done the lifestyle here. And I was learning stuff with this thing. I'm sitting there, the way it was structured and the way that we were working together on the first, second, and third day. It's like an immersion on steroids. Like you could go to 3 immersions here and you would still work and get a lot more out of it from that Reignite, from the one-on-one, the way that it's tailored to each individual guy's needs was just amazing. I was really impressed. And I was sitting there taking notes. I'm like, oh, this is really good.
Yeah.
this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
well, that's why we have you involved too. Cause I think a lot of these guys really need help. Like then they come out of a relationship, especially if they like, I think you're probably more helpful to guys who are trying to reintegrate themselves back into a sexual marketplace that they are like absolutely clueless in.
That's the huge part. And it's a different world they're entering into now. It's not the one they left when they got married or got into a long-term relationship.
And so like when you deal with these guys, and I know I'll let you tell the story because you'd probably tell it better than I do. But like you have read Tanner Guzzi's book, The Appearance of Power. I have too. I think I'm the one that told you about it.
You're the one that, it was your recommendation.
And
I read
really,
it early on.
really good. Tanner would be proud.
Yeah.
But a really, really good book, really good information in that book. It's called The Appearance of Power. It's by Tanner Guzzi.
Yeah, you can pick up paperback
Guzzi.
copy on Amazon.
And Tanner, if
Good
you're
stuff.
ever watching this show, I would love to get you in here and get you.
Absolutely.
Get you become a part of this. But like we use Mr. Kilgore here as our style consultant, and he's the guy who tells us about these things and has really kind of gets down to business with respect to like men who are, let's just say, mature, seasoned gentlemen, how they can sort of still fit themselves into an ever-changing sexual marketplace.
Certainly.
And like most of these guys have never had a tailored suit, and they've never needed to have a tailored suit because they were in a long-term 25-year marriage
where their wife
now
was buying most of
out
their clothing for them.
Yeah, exactly. Their wives would buy clothing for them. The wives would buy deodorant. Like you got to remember, like they
would fall into that trap.
Well, that's the way. That's women are the prime consumers. They buy 80+% of the consumer goods in the United States, right? So that's why those companies or the people who are selling you that kind of Dockers and whatever else they're not marketing to guys. They're marketing to the women who are going to go and buy those things for you.
Yep.
I remember during the Super Bowl, the early Super Bowls, like me and Pat Campbell talked about this. I think it was like 2017, 2018. And the Super Bowl ad buys were from companies who were targeting women who would be watching the Super Bowl. They were trying to promote the Super Bowl as something that's like sort of, unisex at that time.
Right.
And so like women were encouraged to, watch the game with the guys, kind of, they were one of the guys. Right. And so in the meantime, they're like advertising Dockers to them or Old Spice or whatever it is. But it was just these subtle kind of changes that eventually became more and more sort of over the top until you get Michael B. Jordan, who's like the hypergamous love interest of one of these women who's supposed to be watching the Super Bowl, right? And she looks at her husband, and she looks at Michael B. Jordan, and she wants to go off with Michael B. Jordan. But her husband can smell like Michael B. Jordan if you get fucking,
I could close my eyes and smell Michael.
Old Spice of everything. Old Spice, sure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, which I actually like the smell of Old Spice. I shouldn't even say. But so you go and you help these guys out and sort of reintegrate themselves. I liken it to like sort of Stranger in a Strange Land. It's like these guys get like unfrozen out of cryo freeze,
right? And
now they have to sort of decide what it is, how are they going to live their lives in this new brave new world kind of thing. And a lot of guys really either chomp at the bit at it, like they don't think that in the book they say, well, a real man doesn't care how he looks. Like, no, a real man actually cares a lot about how he looks.
Well, you're trying to make yourself a better version of yourself, and that is all part of it. And it is all part of you kind of exuding your own value. And that's the nice thing about Tanner Guzzi's book, which made it so beneficial, is it helps you lay the foundation of what archetype you think you are and helps you figure out how to build up on that so that when you look in the mirror and you see yourself, you're happy with what you're looking at, because that's what we're all trying to get them to achieve. It was really good because I gave them a presentation. We went to State and Liberty for them to get some clothing. State and Liberty should be giving me a kickback. I wish they would.
Sooner or later.
Sooner or later, I'm going to get them to, well, maybe they'll let me open a store here in Vegas. That would be pretty awesome. But the benefit for those guys was because we hung out together. This is an immersion we were out for dinner. We'd go out for drinks. We went to a couple of different hotels and restaurants and bars. And they would see the reaction that I would get from women. And that's what solidified
this motherfucker wore a 3-piece suit to the Miami white party. It was 90+ degrees.
Pull up my Instagram and put it on there.
Maybe I'll put a link to it.
The architect. The architect from Matrix.
He looked like the architect from the Matrix. Now, I was there and I was like in a tight fitting like white shirt. I should never have worn, but it's because you're sweating so much.
It was tough, man.
Yeah, you were sweating just like gallons of sweat.
Yep.
And I'm like, if I was in what you were wearing, I would have like died like half an hour ago.
Well, Kyle, didn't you go the year before and it was the same, or somebody did?
No, it wasn't me.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I was there for 2 years for the
you
first,
went the year before.
The year before was just as hot.
Somebody else went and they said, man, I wore a suit and it was terrible. And it was tough.
I didn't wear a suit. I wore a jacket, a sports jacket, which I ended up taking off halfway through, but it was just. But yeah, I was. But
I couldn't break character.
Only you
character.
will wear that. And then like I knew when you went to the well, you should have seen this guy's shoes at the pink party, man. Oh my god!
I got more than 100 compliments on my shoes.
That I think I might be able to call up here and throw up for you guys. Holy shit!
I knew these things were either going to be great or it was going to be a complete disaster.
I do have that. Hold on, let me throw these up here because like it takes a real fucking man to like be able to wear pink, let alone shoes that look like this.
Now, you read Tanner's book, it'll tell you have to have certain skin tones to be able to go with those soft pastels.
You know, it's funny you should say that because that was the very first thing I was thinking of. It's like I've got to be tan, so I made sure that I got a spray tan before I went. I washed it off before because I didn't want anything to get stained, right? But I'm like, you have to have some sort of contrast going on, especially if it's like a light. I'm already pink as it is. Like I'm very light skinned. I'm Nordic, so all right there. All right,
there's our shoes.
The spiky shoes. The spiky shoes are his,
the one that spikes.
and I got the slippers. I got the. And the funny thing is Jim sends me a picture of these. He goes, "I'm wearing these to the pink party." And I'm like, "Shit, I gotta find something. I can't wear the same thing, but I gotta find something that's gonna sort of like keep pace with Jim."
Yeah.
And so I don't wear suits like you wear suits, but man, every now and then. Although I shouldn't say that at the Vegas Babes in Toyland, I wore my Lucifer Morningstar.
I used you as the example of the rake in the archetypes, the rebel. But you've kind of fine tuned it to your own.
I'm a chameleon, man. I like people think that this is all I'm ever going to be is just like sort of, you look like Bret Michaels.
But then I showed him the picture of you in the 3-piece black suit with Missy at the last Babes that was here in Vegas, right?
Yeah. I have other shots. I have other shots of me prior to being on the 21 convention. Like if you look at my videos from the 21 convention, I have like very short military cropped hair. Like when I finally do decide to like shave my head is like perfect for being bald if I wanted to do it. So that's not, I don't have like some big old like, egg head or anything like that. Guys who do that, maybe that's not the best idea.
Yeah, some guys it doesn't suit.
Yeah, it's just because your head's not shaped like symmetrical, I guess. I don't know, like a bowling ball or whatever. But no, I have pictures of me in like a 3-piece shoot, and this was my Frank Underwood era, where where you would do that.
FBI.
Yeah, but it was more. I definitely had a more mature look at that time, and I had very like salt and pepper and the thing going. I was never like bald, but I would just sort of would let my hair grow like military, like buzz cut length.
Sure.
And it was easy to take care of at the time, but it was like sort of a holdover from the days when I had to have hair like that. Right, I wasn't allowed to have like long hair when I was working for like casinos, or if I was. I mean, I probably could have working for the liquor industry. I just didn't. And then people always wonder like why I grew my hair out, and I'm like, well, because my mom actually asked me to do it before she died. I think we both kind of realized she wasn't going to be around too much longer, and so like right around 2018, she says, "I'd really love to see your hair long again," and I'm like, okay. And I happened to be playing in a band at the time too, so it worked out. So I started growing it out, and still. Yes, this is my actual real hair. See, look, I can't. It's not a wig. People go, "Oh, it's a wig." I wouldn't be able to do this if it was a wig.
Oh God, no.
Yeah. Let me see here. Nuclear Caldillo. Nuke brought up an idea that I agree with. Men emotionally invest enough in relationships and society. Asking for more is a detriment to men themselves. Yeah. What else is here? Dr. Andrew Thomas, incel expert. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Expert from Wales said on Chris Williamson, the red pill action-based is more dangerous than black pill basement-based. Do I agree? No, absolutely, I don't agree. No. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Dr. Thomas or Dr. Chris Williamson, who's not a doctor, or any of these other guys who want to talk shit about incels and everything else, I'm not gonna defend incels or whatever. I just think you guys are just fucking charlatans, and I think you guys are fucking getting paid kickbacks from various agencies, as we've seen sort of crop up over the last year. However, I'll tell you this is like we're doing more right now to sort of benefit men than anything I've seen any black pill kids do or any of these doomers do. And by the way, anything I've ever seen Chris Williamson do, anything I've ever seen Dr. Andrew Thomas do, anything I've ever seen Will Costello do, who got his fucking doctorate from his incel studies and everything, we're doing more hands-on work in the last 6 months of this year than I've seen these guys doing at any time they've been online.
They're really good talking about the problem.
They want to talk about the problem. You know what they're good at about? They're good talking shit about us. They're good talking shit about me.
Yeah.
That's all they do. And without me, you guys don't fucking exist. Simple as that. There are literally channels that would not exist if I wasn't around or Mike wasn't around, right? Who would you fucking talk about?
Yeah.
No one. And you know why you do that? Because you have no fucking frontiers to explore. So you start talking shit about people. That's what it is. And I'll tell you right now, what we did over the course of this last weekend with the guys that we had at the Reignite thing, Babes in Toyland, like, who's doing this? Who? Tell me who, because I would like to. I would want to recruit them. I would like to have them involved in all of this because nobody is doing this stuff. So when people give me, want to talk about, oh yeah, these guys are more dangerous. Oh, like how so? In what way? Tell me now, because I don't see you guys forming groups to help dudes who are in the prime demographic for male self-deletion. Yeah. I constantly hear fucking Pearl talk about this documentary she's going to do for divorce guys, and it's just fucking a fart in the wind. She's been talking about this for the last 3 years. Where is it? Show me where it's at. I'll tell you, I will be in a documentary before she is. And I could say that with 100% certainty because it's already been shot and it's going to be released in February. Yeah, it's called No Simp is what it is. I talked to the guy who's the producer, the guy who bankrolled the whole thing.
Right. Okay.
I shot, and by the way, Mike Sartain's in it. Myron Gaines is in it. I forget. I think Sadia Khan is in it. But it basically talks about like why guys are simps. And it's called No Simp, and it's coming out. I believe they said that it's going to drop in February. I don't ask me where just yet. We talked about distribution. I think they're shopping it to Hulu, Netflix, and like some of the bigger outlets, some of the streaming outlets right now. And it's a big, well-funded big deal. So I'm in it. Mike Sartain's. I'm in it in the Camaro. I know I had to drop that. I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying to cover my ass because people are like, what is he doing in his car? Yeah. But yeah, I actually shot video of me in what was supposed to be the dry lake bed that's out here in South Las Vegas, but it rained the night before, so it was a very muddy, clay, sticky, messy clusterfuck. But it came out good nonetheless. So, but I will be in a documentary long before Pearl Davis is in any documentary that she's been talking about for the last 3 years. Where is that, please? Somebody tell me show me what you're doing. Nobody can. Right. They would rather talk shit. Yeah. And they would rather rip me off and rip off my pretty woman analogies and stuff like that than actually like come up with any. They're not innovators. They are fast followers is all they are. And they're cheap cover bands of a great original band is what they end up.
And I think that's what's important too. Being part of Men of Action and Reignite, we're out there trying to apply things and see what works best.
Yeah.
They're all theory because they're not actually applying.
Yeah,
they're just talking.
I've got a style coach for this. I've got crypto guys. I've got health. I've got Drew Bay. I've got Thor. I've got such a network of guys. Whatever your particular problem is, wherever your weak spots are, we have a guy in the Reignite network that can like literally is dying to do so to help you out.
We're all here because we are doing it.
Yes,
we're not sitting around talking about it.
Yeah, we're not sitting here stroking our dicks on some fucking reaction video thing. Right. We're not talking shit about people we don't even know.
Yeah.
And the only reason I would even come up in the conversation with these guys is because they don't want to fucking directly confront me or Mike or anybody else just in a direct, because they know we would go in there and we destroy their fucking programs.
Yeah.
Because we go in there, we would go in talking exactly the stuff that I talk about on this channel, on Access Vegas, on anytime I'm interviewed. I was just on, at least Zuby had the ball. He's a good friend of mine too, but at least he has the balls to go and interview somebody like me. And then he just talked to Brett Cooper. Brett Cooper wouldn't give me the time of fucking day, but Zuby will.
Yeah.
Why not you? Well, at some point, it's going to look weird that you haven't interviewed me and Mike collectively or independently. I've been on with fucking Tim Pool. Pool, the show right after that, he's got trad cons who would run me up the flagpole. Right? Yeah. Why aren't you? What are you afraid of? So instead of your content is based on reactivity, it's based on reactions, and it's based on you making these straw men out of whatever it is you think, black pill doomers or whatever, red pill, whatever you happen to think that is, and then basically just your content is building it up and knocking it down.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And until you can prove something different, that's what I'm going with. So go fuck yourselves. Your books have opened my eyes and have changed my life. God bless you forever. Wait, hold on.
Slow
I need
clap.
that. Yes. Wait, where is my? Wait. There you go.
Right.
I need my. Where's my?
Say my name.
Say my name. Oh, here it is. There you go. Yes, I'm not your God, but thank you very much. I'm happy you think that way. Is Reignite a brotherhood uber alles? I don't think you can ever really do that.
No, that's not the way we are.
No, it's not.
Bad.
Well, you got to remember, like when I talk about like the sisterhood uber alles, that's really an evolved sort of mechanism of the female psyche.
That's correct.
Because women need other women because they're the vulnerable sex. There's strength in numbers, right? It makes sense.
It's like
just
an innate
pragmatism.
reaction in firmware for them.
We're you know what? I should probably make this announcement now. We're going to do the next Access Vegas is going to be on November 5th, and yes, that is election night. We're going to do an election night show. And by the way, I'm giving you a heads up now, Kyle, because we probably will use you. But we're trying to get and ladies. This is a call. This is a call to just the ladies. If you
Strippers
watch
for
this.
Harris.
And if you, I know we're looking, it's impossible to find anybody in our demo that wants
anybody.
So we're going to have discussions. We're trying to get sort of politically savvy girls on this show. Okay?
Why did the 800cc support Trump?
Yes. 800 cc's Kamala Harris, 2800 cc's Donald Trump. There's a cc. There's the fluid ounces that like sort of like create a political dichotomy there.
Yeah.
It's all well. Yeah, I mean, okay, it's no secret that Mike Sartain has a certain personality type in the girl that he likes, and that's one.
Yeah.
But there are limitations.
That's right.
And I'm going to tell you right now because I know this is going to come out because I know the video exists. So there's a shot of me in between these two chicks,
Yeah.
and I'm in the pink outfit, right?
Yeah.
And I've got I forget, God bless her, I forget her name, but like the chick with the big 2800 cc's.
Yeah, she
and
was
then her friend is on the opposite side.
That's
of me,
right.
and she's not quite as stacked as her, but they're both in the same genre, let's just say. And I'm just
you would have
stuck
noticed
between
her
like four tits
Yeah.
that are just huge.
Yeah, that was an impressive moment.
Rollo said he doesn't like fake tits. Oh, I can't believe he's a red pill. I love fake tits. Not that. That's okay. There are thresholds. Okay, but man, geez.
It's like, how do you know until you get a chance to play with them? If you really like them or not. Right?
She was
It's like, do you really know for sure?
That's funny. That's actually a good topic. So when I was talking to her, and yes, she has the duck lips too. So the Kardashians have done more to like. Why are you coming at me about the black pill and the red pill? You should be going after Kim Kardashian and Khloe and whoever Kardashians inflates those lips to duck
lips
size.
and the BBLs.
That's who you should have a problem with, not me. Go find all of the teachers that are like statutorily graping their students. Go talk to them before you talk to anybody. If you have a problem with me, you should probably have a problem with them first, right? But no, I was. You're in between these two.
Oh,
I was talking to this. I'm in between these two. Yes, so I'm in between them. And I asked this girl because they're both obviously they're both on OnlyFans. They're in their 40s. They're like mid 40s ish, I think. So they're not quite to the leather skin, come give grandma a kiss kind of level yet, but they're getting there. And I mean, God, they're very nice. Don't get me wrong, but I had a good time with all four of them. but no, at one point I asked her, so yeah, clearly you do OnlyFans. Yeah. And I said, what percentage creator are you? Do you know? She's like, I don't know if I've ever even looked. Like she didn't even know what her percentage, like, the top earners kind of thing. Most women who are like in the 0.01 whatever percent, they know because they'll
like a feedback loop.
Yeah, they will. They are very proud of that number, right? But she never really even looked, right? And so we looked. She showed me the analytics on her Instagram or not her OnlyFans, and she was 4.7% of the top earner, which is no slouch. No slouch.
It is.
Yeah, and so she was like, "Oh, hot damn!"
It's not a straight line; like it goes exponentially as you get towards the top.
She just rakes in the cash, man. That's all she does.
I think that's very usual for women. It's like, I'm making enough money. Like, I don't really care what anybody else is doing. I'm making enough for me.
Well, that's why I like brought
look around at
I brought up the fact that, so I kept saying it's the pretty woman dynamic, right? It's like those chicks are never going to get married. And they know they're never going to get married because they're never going to find a guy that's going to make more money than they can to sort of lift them out of the industry, right? That they don't want to be lifted out of in the first place. Like when I was bringing up the pretty woman analogy, I was referring to the girls that were on like whatever podcast, because all of them have a very similar story. I'm just going to do this until I find the right guy, the right man. Well, what does that guy look like? 6'5", finance, blue eyes, trust fund.
There's two of them in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And they're very few and far between, and more so now than ever before. So I don't even think like these girls have probably never in their lives seen the 80s movie, Pretty Woman with Julia Roberts and Richard Gere. Right? But it's the same plot, and there's a reason why it's a romantic comedy is because it's the hooker.
Never happened in real life.
The hooker with the heart of gold, right?
Yeah.
She's sassy and she's she has moxie, whatever the fuck moxie is, right? She's she's a strong, independent woman, and she doesn't need no man. But along comes Prince Charming, who basically fucks her like a whore because that's what he's there for. Like she's an escort, he's the guy who's paying for it. And so she's essentially a prostitute. There's no secrets about that in the movie, but in fact, that's why she's the hooker with the heart of gold, right? And so then they magically sort of fall in love, right? Well, the only reason they're falling in love is because Richard Gere has so much money that he can lift her out of that particular lifestyle into a more sort of make her an honest woman, right? And that's really what these girls are wanting is they want to find the Richard Gere who's going to make them an honest woman and pull them out of that lifestyle. And I'm like, you are never going to be pulled out of that lifestyle. I hope you like what you're doing, because you're going to either settle for a lifestyle of being a spinster, or you're going to settle for a lifestyle with a guy who is in no way Richard Gere will never be able to pull you out. He will not be economically attractive.
Yeah. It's interesting when you say it, because it's almost like, what's that guy? And it's like, it's that guy that will provide me with the lifestyle that I want. Like they can describe the lifestyle better than they can the guy.
Right.
And if they're describing the guy, it's actually, they're describing the lifestyle.
Right.
Not the guy himself.
Whenever I've talked to the girls about this, and not even just me, Myron has talked about this, Fresh, Brian from whatever podcast, me, Mike, and everything. Even Aaron Clary has brought this up. Like, do you want to get married? Yes, I do. Well, where is that on your priority list? Is it number 1? Is it number 4? Is it number 8? Where are you placing that? For most women, they want to get married, but it's only if it's an ideal, perfect situation. And why wouldn't they? It's impractical for them to want to get with anything less than Richard Gere and Pretty Woman.
Right.
And so the guy has to make so much money. He's got to be this oil sheik or some like rich multinational industrialist. What's an industrialist? I don't know. Exactly. Guys, if a woman ever asks you what you do for a living, just say, I'm an industrialist. Yeah. What's an industrialist? Exactly. It keeps it very, very ambiguous. I'm an industrialist.
That's a good one.
Yes. I'm a media professional.
There you go.
That's Kyle. That's for you.
Yeah.
I'm a media specialist. I'm a media professional. What do you do? I produce podcasts.
I'm an engineer.
An engineer. A little of this and a little of that. But the idea that there's going to be a guy like Richard Gere with a diamond necklace and snaps the thing down like this, ladies, this doesn't happen. Okay, that's not going to happen. That's not going to be you in all likelihood.
Right.
And if it is, it's going to be a guy who is going to be just like the airboat captain that married Lana Del Rey, which we were talking about.
That's correct.
At the thing. So I want to talk about that really, really quickly. So Lana Del Rey, I looked her up. She is worth $30 million.
Yeah.
Which I would think she'd be worth more than that.
Well, she's had some great albums, but I don't know if she's toured much. And that's actually quite good chunk of change.
Does she have residency here in Vegas?
I haven't seen her here. No. No, yeah, she might. But I think she was kind of in and out. She's had a few albums, and it was at that time frame where everything was going to Apple Tunes. And I've talked to some singers, some popular ones from back in the day, and they're like, this is how they make their money, is going on tour. Like that's how they'll make more money. They don't make anything from this digital media place
Mhm.
now anymore, trying to sell albums.
Yeah.
You know, unless they produce it themselves.
And so she,
But that's great for her.
she's
You know,
getting
30
married.
million. That's
She's getting married.
That's awesome.
But she's getting married to this guy who is an airboat tour guide, captain.
Yeah, I didn't
Alligator
look,
hunter?
alligator hunter or something.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, I texted you. I was like, I think she's marrying Forrest Gump. I don't know.
Well, the funny thing is now here's a little
shrimp boat captain.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say that this guy in no way makes the kind of money that Lana Del Rey does. Okay, so we'll clarify that. But I know the type because I lived in Kissimmee, Florida from 2005 till 2013.
Yeah.
And that's when I was working in the wine and spirits industry when I was in Central Florida, right? And so we would be in St. Cloud and Kissimmee. And if you know anything about that area, there's a lot of tour boats and there's airboats that are,
Didn't you write an article about captains and
well, I'll
passengers?
tell you what's funny. When I first got to Florida, I kind of wanted to just sort of sink my teeth into the place, right?
Right.
And you can actually get an alligator hunting license in Florida, but it's done by lottery. So you have to go in and like pay the fee, and then if your number comes up, you get it. And that's usually what tourists do. Is like they'll go and because they want to go and catch a gator. And then there's those tour boat. There's the airboat guides that will go, oh, you have a license, great. I need every part of the alligator is used, by the way, when you go, and there's so many of them. They do that because they need to like keep the population down in Florida. But if you can get, God, it's paid by the foot, right? So if you can get an 8-foot gator, that's a pretty good deal. You're gonna definitely make back the money you spent to get the license.
Right.
You get a 12-foot gator or any like these fucking dinosaurs. They're using every part of that gator for meat. They're using it for leather. They're using the teeth of everything that's part of it. And so it's actually very profitable, and you don't even necessarily have to, it's not like you're wrestling the gator out of the water or something like that. You just use a bang stick on it and then that's it. Right.
Yeah.
But I've known guys who are just like the dude that Lana Del Rey is getting with.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the dude. And they're like, oh, he's a man's man. He's a masculine guy. It's like, well, he's hunting alligators, right? Or maybe he's not actually hunting alligators, but like he's out there as a tour boat captain and they fell in love and everything else. And I'm wondering, because here she is, there's no earthly way that airboat captain guy is going to ever be able to make the kind of money that Lana Del Rey makes over the course of his lifetime.
Right.
He will never catch up to her, right? And so what happens now is you've got Lana Del Rey, who's 39 years old, by the way.
Yeah, that was the other.
Wanting to have some sort of normalcy and everything. And she's with this guy who really rocked her boat or whatever. And then the rest is history, right?
Well, we talked, and I was like, this might be the first time she's been exposed to such a like masculine alpha.
Mm-hmm. Who was the guy she was with before? He was like
well, there was one famous actor, I can't think of his name, or fairly famous actor that she dated. Like I saw a list of about 8 to 10 guys. There was one guy that's in a rock band, so he might have been a blue pill alpha. But you look at the list of the other guys, and it's like Hollywood beta types for the most part, I thought. But she might have been. Wow, this is a different tasting ice cream.
Well, she has no. I think it's interesting because you're taking provisioning, protection, and parental investment off the table, at least the provisioning part for sure, for nothing else, right? So long-term security, her long-term security is definitely met.
Yeah.
So who does Lana Del Rey want to get with? What kind of guy? She doesn't need a man. She wants a man. What kind of man does she want? Clearly alligator wrestling
masculine alpha style guy.
Exactly.
And I think that's the point that we should try to really reinforce. It's like, you could being alpha and masculine is a status unto itself with a woman. You can be attractive to a woman, even Lana Del Rey with $30 million, and she'll want to have you marry her because of who you are as a person, because you've made yourself the best you can, and you're an alpha, you're masculine.
My reservation about that would be the guy would get comfortable.
Yeah.
Like he would be like, okay, well, do I really need to be an airboat captain if I just married Lana Del Rey and she's got $30 million? Do I need to keep doing what I'm doing? And the answer is yes. Yes, you do have to keep doing what you're doing because it has to be a labor of love and it has to be something that you're passionate about because that's what gives you your status is your ability to go out there and wrestle alligators, right? Or whatever it is that like kept her.
Yeah, he cannot change who he is. He should not be compromised who he is and how he acts to maintain the relationship. And that's the thing. Like we're just making, we're looking at it and we're giving our opinions. We could be wrong about the guy, but you would hope that he would realize that he had every day. I think it was Mike when Mike interviewed Casey Zander. It's like every day he's got to get up and every day hypergamy has to be satisfied. But he satisfies that by staying who he is.
Yes. Polarity. Yeah.
Right.
I was, it was actually something I was reading off of Royce way back in the day is like a health, and he's 100% right. Because I apply the same principle without really knowing it. I apply the same principles in my own marriage is that polarity, not similarity, is the key to a healthy relationship. It's basically maintaining your identity because the minute you start trying to become who you think that she expects of you, that's when you're fucked.
Yep.
That's when you start not being the person that she wanted to get with. Like when I look at these guys who sort of make their wives or their girlfriends sort of like their sun and their moon, like they're the one. And the minute that they do that is the minute that they sort of compromise, they make that compromise.
Yeah.
Right. And that I was just listening to some pastor this morning, and my wife and my mother-in-law were watching this on TV, and this guy was just talking about how lucky he was talking about relationships. And it's exactly why I wrote the 4th book, right? Is guys like this. And basically giving a message to men saying, oh yeah, marriage is based on compromise and it should be, a group effort and a team effort. And you're only leading because to lead in the marriage is to just simply like take initiative, right? I'm like, bullshit it is. If there's a leader, there's a fucking follower.
Yeah.
Otherwise, don't call yourself a leader.
Yeah.
I am leading in my marriage. Okay, then who's following in your marriage?
Right.
Well, I would presume it's your wife and your kids and whoever else is dependent on you or else needs you to fucking be the problem solver in your fucking marriage. But if you're going to call yourself a leader, men need to lead in marriage, then guess what? The next thing out of your mouth should be women need to follow into marriage.
Yeah.
And if you follow that up with, well, it's also based on compromise and it's also based on like, a partnership and a team effort and everything. No, you just said I'm the leader of this. There represents a hierarchy there. I'm at the top of the hierarchy and everybody else is below that. That doesn't mean I'm an asshole about it, but it does imply that there is some sort of preset hierarchy right here.
Yeah.
So don't give me this bullshit about compromising. And like it's up to you. You must. Because then he gives this fucking example of how he wanted to buy this brown recliner, like a recliner. I see he wanted to put it in the living room, so you could watch TV, whatever else. And his wife said no. I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, but she eventually allowed me or let me keep it in my office because she could see me using it to like write sermons or use it in my office for writing, which of course is where it is right now. He's like, well, I just made a compromise. It wasn't in the living room. It was in the office or something like that. And I go, well, guess what? You're not a leader.
No,
you're no longer a leader. You're trying to be more, compromise makes you more similar to her.
Yeah,
no compromise means you're maintaining your identity and you're maintaining the polarity in that relationship. And I will tell you this, for as much as this guy's wife would have held out on him and said, like, I'm going to pull fucking rank on you. I'm the man in this relationship and this fucking recliner is going to go in the living room right here because I'm the one that is the primary in this, because God, the one that you believe in, said that that's the way I have to be. So guess what? This fucking recliner goes in this fucking room and that's it.
Yeah.
And if I would guarantee you that whatever pussy he missed out on because of that week, he would have made up for 10 times after that because she would have respected the fact that he pulled rank on her.
Yeah.
And that's why I keep telling guys, like, you want to, once again,
he regenerated the polarity.
A good relationship is based on polarity, not similarities. And
it will be very interesting, I think, to watch that. I do wish them both the best. It's great that they found each other, fell in love, and decided to get married. And I wish them all the best and hope they stay together till death do us part. But it'll be very interesting to see how that dynamic in that relationship develops. And
because with Lana Del Rey?
Because it's basically traditionally turned up on its head, the relationship. She's the
Right.
one with $30 million, right?
Right.
He's the alligator hunter.
Right.
And it's like, it'll be interesting to see if she's a trendsetter or just an outlier. If other women are going to start to go, maybe I should go find myself an alligator hunter.
Right.
But
the thing is there's always going to, and unless you like actively like work against this as the man and the alligator airboat captain, that guy has to actively keep his identity.
Absolutely.
Actively has to keep doing what he's doing.
You can't forget why she was attracted to him from the
you
beginning.
Can't let up.
That's right.
You have to be who you are all the fucking time.
I think that's the toughest
and
thing.
maybe that's not a problem for him.
I think that's a problem for men in general, maybe. I'm not sure. But it's, it seems like they think that you get some earned investment or earned equity position where you don't have to keep doing that every day. Like you get to have a day off. It's like, no, you're a man. You don't get to have a day off. You have to keep satisfying hypergamy every day by being a better you every day. You don't get a break.
Yeah.
It's work. It doesn't get easier.
When are we
It
going to
gets
let
harder.
my hair down, Rollo? Never.
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 No.
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 You have to be this. That's
100%. 100%. And guys,
the
but
fact,
that's,
the fact
I don't
that
want to
you-
hear that.
The fact that you would eat, yeah, exactly, and the fact that you would think that you could leads me to believe that this is just an act for you and not who you are, rather than like this act or this performance, performative, right?
Yeah.
The airboat captain guy is not. That's not a performance for him. He is the fucking airboat captain.
That's right.
Right. Lana Del Rey just happened to take a tour one day and fell in love with the dude, right?
Yep.
But you know what he did the next day after they met? He went back to the fucking
went
work
back
and
to
he
doing
wrestled
what he's doing.
alligators is what
That's
he
right.
did, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to remember this shit too, because it's just as important. Again, getting back to this,
No one cares. Work harder.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
No, well, what is it like? Was it Rich Cooper? Nobody cares about women. Don't care about men's struggles. They only care about they only wait at the finish.
They
line.
wait at the finish line.
But they also
That's right.
only care about results.
Yeah.
What are women will fall in love with what you are before they fall.
Well,
in love
because
with
results
who you
shows confidence and competence, which then provides you with status.
Mhm.
And that's what, depending on where they are on that chart that you showed,
Yes.
that becomes
Airboat
important.
guy status.
I was going to say, it's like
Status.
you just want to see your status go
Bravo.
up. Airboat captain. There's just jumped from like
Lana Del Rey
98 up to
got her.
12 because of Lana Del Rey.
Already pilot.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, man. No, I think you're right about that too, and it also sort of brings up this other thing. Like a lot of the critics were mostly women. It wasn't guys. Like guys were like, hey, right on, you got fucking
Hey, good on you.
yeah, good on you. I mean, she's 39, but hey, okay, whatever. But all the women are like, oh, he's just using her for his money.
Well, see,
for her
that's-
money. I'm like,
I'm very interested to see.
I don't think so.
Is this going to become like a term? Yeah, she just Lana Del Rey a guy, or
Yeah. Well,
because there's more women with a lot of money. and
What's
it's
funny is like their minds will go.
you gotta go find your man.
Their minds will go to like how like if you have an very older guy and you get a very younger girl, right?
Yeah.
Oh, she's a gold digger, right?
Right.
How does that work in reverse? How does that work with airboat guy?
What's
and
a
Lana
hag
Del
maxing?
Rey?
It, remember?
Hag maxing.
Hag maxing.
Yes, hag maxing. It's called hag maxing. And I'm the one that's dangerous. The red pill's the one that's a hag maxing.
Hag
I did
maxing.
not create
Hey,
hag
man,
maxing. That is
Benjamin
not me.
Franklin promoted hag maxing. It's
Yes.
got to be good, right?
Hag maxing. Nikolai Tesla. And, come on, stop it. Just no more. No, what gets me is there's now suddenly the provisioning is done by the woman.
Yes,
Right?
which
And that's like when women talk about like a guy who is economically attractive or would be an eligible bachelor, statistically speaking, I've seen the research anyways, women want a guy who makes 68% more than they do.
Correct.
So if they're making $100,000, the guy has to make $168,000
That's correct, yeah.
to
Yeah.
be somewhat acceptable, like across the board in aggregate. And again, those are stats from like 2019. But like, so clearly that dynamic doesn't exist between Lana Del Rey and Airboat Guy.
No.
So it's going to be interesting to see how
he needs
that
to
one
just remember
plays out.
how he got to the dance, what got him to the dance.
Yeah.
And he's got to be that person. He's got to continue being and grow that person every day.
Yeah. And stay on top of your game.
Yeah, exactly.
My advice to you, Airboat Guy, is like
Maintain
stay Airboat Guy.
Maintain frame. Maintain
Yes,
frame.
Yes. Well, and it kind of comes back to this as well. And I got into this conversation with you, but I've had this ongoing conversation with people like Myron and myself and Justin Waller and Mike
Right.
Sartain. And we're at position, like when you have, I shudder to call myself a high value guy, but like when it comes to like
you have status.
I'm in a tax bracket that you know, I'm not a millionaire, but I'm not a millionaire, right?
Yeah.
But these guys make way more money than I do, and so I'm in a similar situation where like I have retired my wife 3 years ago. She no longer has to work anymore. Airboat guy no longer has to work anymore. The situation with Mike and Justin, they have different arrangements with their main girl, and they have side pieces. And I don't have side pieces, right? But I'm in a similar situation where it's like my wife is 100% dependent on it. And a lot of people are dependent on me, really. But how does that dynamic of that dependency define the relationship that you're in? Because I'll tell you right now, Pastor what's his face with the leather chair, if that dude was making 6 figures and his wife was only making, you know, money at Starbucks or whatever, that might be a different conversation. Suddenly it's not about compromise anymore. Suddenly she doesn't even have a problem with it because, well, he makes more money.
Right.
And so now the money defines the dynamic of the relationship.
Correct.
And so that's why I was bringing this up, is like the people who like the girls that, if Mike's going to get with a girl who's, you know, down to be with Mike, right?
Yeah.
And he's clearly going to make way more money than he makes more money than a lot of the girls that we have on the show. And they make a shit ton of money on OnlyFans and stuff too. And Justin Waller, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. Myron Gaines, he's got his girlfriend Angie, but like, you know, if he wants side pieces, that's part of their arrangement or whatever. And so but it's also defined by Myron's income, and it's defined by my income, and it's defined by, you know, the rest of these guys' income. And so wealth enforces will. So how does that work when it's Lana Del Rey, her wealth, that is he going to, like Airboat guy, is he going to say, Lana, I've got this really great brown recliner and I want to put it in our fucking living room, and she'd probably be fine with it because she don't give two shits. Is that guy's alpha gravitas, is that enough to overcome the $30 million net worth, right?
Right.
And so I think that a lot of what we put as far as men's authority is based on how much money they make. It's based on their affluence. Their status, I mean, affluence and status are intimately linked. Wealth enforces will. So if I wouldn't do this because I'm not like that, but like if I wanted to put a really tacky fucking recliner in the middle of my living room, it's just going to show up one day where there's not even going to be there's not even going to be a discussion about it. It's just going to sit there and say, well, that's where I want it.
Right.
People ask me like, oh, you know, because you know what my guitar collection looks like, right?
Yeah.
I buy the things that I want to buy. I don't want a tacky, recliner because it looks like shit, right? But I do want very expensive guitars, and if I want it, I buy it. And so when I get shit for people saying, "Oh, how come Rolla doesn't have a McLaren?" My McLaren is my fucking guitar collection, right?
Yeah, right.
If I want something, I get it.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's not such a good thing. But there's no
other ways to get to 600 horsepower.
There's no yes, there is. Yes. And one of them is not a supercharger. An $8,000 supercharger. Thank you for showing me that goddamn picture. That was Kyle's doing. Let's see, here we go. Is honesty a weakness? As narcissists tend to find honesty and authenticity repulsive, it counters their game. Narcissists will provoke, belittle, and berate the honest one until they leave the social setting permanently.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I have come around from this, especially working with one of the MOA coaches from Archer, and just it's amazing how, because I think I had that problem too, of not being open and honest, or not being honest by omission. And now I'm completely open and honest from the beginning. And the reason is because when you're meeting women and you want to find out, it's like, how much my time is what's most important to me. Do I want to give this woman any of my time? So I'm going to ask logistic questions, and she's going to ask me questions. I'm going to be open and honest about it and look for her reaction, because if she's not someone I'm interested in wanting to give my time to, then we're saving a lot of that by being open and honest. I think it's really important that you be open and honest from the beginning, because it is narcissistic to hide. or to deceive.
Full disclosure. Well, here's my problem with the word narcissist. First of all, narcissism is exceptionally rare. Like real clinical narcissism is like a fraction of 1% of the population would be called clinically, medically treatable fucking narcissists. Right. Okay. That's the problem that I have the most with the term narcissist. So, so is honesty necessarily a weakness? Well, are we talking about honesty or are we talking about vulnerability? Because those are two different concepts as well too. So is vulnerability weakness? Yes. Look it up in the dictionary. It literally says weakness.
Yeah.
So either words have meaning and we stick with them or they don't. So like lighten up, Francis.
Because it's a problem of projection or writing a covert contract. Well, I'm not going to tell her the truth in the beginning because she might not like it. And I'd really like to get with her, So it's like, well, what is your end goal?
Right.
Are you looking for a relationship? Are you looking to just get with her? You can be open and honest.
I always wonder why like people have a problem with being honest. Like, so like, no, I don't think anyone in, at least in my neck of the fucking manosphere and the red pill is saying, yeah, lie to her as much as possible so you can get fucking laid, man. That's nobody is saying that.
No.
In fact, why would you lie if honesty was going to get you further?
I
think
that's guys fall into that trap of believing that if they're honest, it
they
won't
get
work.
scared of the reaction.
Yeah,
that's what it ends up being.
Well, they're worried about rejection. Number one, they're fearful of rejection, so they're trying to hold back from that. But then it's like
what are you gonna? Okay, so what's the opposite of honesty? You're gonna lie. Okay, what are you lying? What are you lying about? Tell me, like, give me the specifics. Like, you drive a fucking Ford Pinto and you say you have a Lamborghini or something like that. Maybe you don't want to say that. Okay, that's stupid. But like, as far as honesty is concerned, it's like, well, I think more guys have a problem with being too honest and spilling their fucking guts on the restaurant table on date number one, instead of being, somewhat of a challenge, being like, make a woman work for that honesty, make her fucking like want to unwrap you as like a fucking onion, like the layers of you. And it's a very simple concept. I didn't come up with it, but it's called breadcrumbing. Like learn how to effectively and ethically breadcrumb with a woman, like so that she wants to come back for more. I'm trying to figure this guy out. You become this puzzle for her to figure out, man.
Yeah.
Are you being honest? If you don't tell her everything on the first date, you don't spill your guts on the first date. Are you being deceptive? No, you're just you're still being honest. You're just drip feeding the fucking honesty to her because so she becomes, wrapped up and she wants to be more engaged. She wants to be a part of your world, right? She wants are you controlling frame by drip feeding honesty, or are you controlling flame by going, okay, when I was 12, my mom said this, and when I was 13, I went to junior high school and I got wedgies and I didn't really fit in, and then by the time I was 16, I was a sophomore in high school, and on and on and on and on, your whole fucking life story like that. No chick wants that.
The term that
boring.
The term that we tend, you got to be more calibrated. You just can't emotionally vomit everything all over, right? Like you said, you're going to ruin it. There is a bit of a pace that you need to maintain.
Challenge. Like people say, oh, you want to be a mystery.
And you need to be more calibrated about how you, and you do. Like, you let her earn the answers.
It's better if she, okay, so here's the thing. When it comes to honesty, there's a difference between you broadcasting honesty and her discovering it.
Right.
Okay. For instance, when I was just telling you before, when I was with the girl we were talking about before, and suddenly she doesn't know who I am. I'm kind of talking to her. I could tell she's getting, throwing IOIs at me and everything. I practice catch and release game. I'm not going to go anywhere with this chick. But so, and then when I started talking to these guys that came up to me with social proof, oh, you have some sort of like somewhat, I don't want to call it celebrity, but celebrity, right? Yeah. And then suddenly now my status shoots up because I'm surrounded by guys who suddenly want to get my input on something or want to take a selfie with me because they just recognize me, right? Now suddenly I go from being he's interesting to wow, he's really interesting, right?
Yeah, right.
Now, was I honest? Could I have said, yeah, I'm Rollo Tomassi. I'm the best-selling author. I'm being honest. I'm the best-selling author of the Rational Male series. It's been around for 20. Well, I've been doing this for 22 some odd years. The book's been around for 11 years. Blah blah blah. I really help these guys out. I save their lives.
It's like you're reading from your resume.
So if I don't give her my resume, am I being honest about it, or am I being disingenuous by not telling her everything right up front within the first 5 minutes, or is it more effective if I don't say shit, and then suddenly these guys come up to me and go, "Oh, you Rollo Tomassi? I want to shake your hand," right?
Yeah.
That is way better fucking social proof and pre-selection than it would be if I was to just go rattle off all my fucking bona fides to a chick. So
no, it's true. So even
discovery.
it seemed like a pretty easy question, right? But it's not an easy answer.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and then so it's like but the thing I get is this, and I've had this conversation recently, is narcissism. And like when I talk about, and I will challenge anybody. By the way, Rob Henderson, any of you guys want to challenge me on this, you know where to find me here in Las Vegas. I don't think we should call dark triad personality traits dark. I don't think at all. I think they're just personality traits. They are antisocial. They can be taken to the extreme, but without them, the person dies. So like if we take narcissism to its most illogical extreme, then you get the Tinder swindler. Okay. Right. But if you take a guy who is like so anti-narcissism and is so selfless, he becomes a doormat and no fucking woman wants to fuck him, right? So there's this sort of spectrum of narcissism, right? With what is narcissism? Self-love, right? And there's this great line in Shakespeare, Henry V. Self-love, my liege, is not so great a sin as self-neglect. That's just describing the two ends of that fucking spectrum as far back as, Shakespearean times, right? And so you got the guy who's the doormat who just basically has no self-love. He's just selfless and would lay over kin altruism, right? Would just die for the tribe, right? And then there's the guy who is just like, fuck everybody. I'm the most important thing on planet Earth. Most people are somewhere in between. What makes it dark and what makes it light? Why don't we call it light triad? What would be the light triad personality? Agreeableness, conscientiousness, shit that fits in with a female life plan, probably. But yet, what's the number one attractant to men? It's dark triad personality traits. If you have those in a character in a movie, women gravitate towards that.
Do.
They want that. They want narcissism. They want Machiavellianism, which most women couldn't even tell you who Nikolai Machiavelli is, right?
The vampire, the werewolf, the beast.
Right. And then psychopathy, right? Psychopathy. If I would say you're a psychopath, then what are you, like, Jeffrey Dahmer or something like yeah, that's a spectrum.
It's a spectrum.
But people still have have levels of psychopathy to their personality. I do, you do, everyone else.
Sure.
Because if you didn't, you'd be dead, right? Because you would just give up everything. That leans over in towards nihilism. Yep. So there has to be some sense of self-importance. Otherwise, you would not go and eat your Taco Bell Grande to keep yourself alive, right?
Quiero Taco Bell.
I know. Sounds good now. That's my cheating food. Cheating food is Taco Bell.
The macros on the number 10, it's like 3 Dorito Loco tacos and a drink or whatever. But
I'm in.
The macros are not that bad.
Oh,
there's some
for a
there.
cheat meal, it's not bad.
I remember Jacob. Jacob liked to go on tacos. There was something he used to get there because the macros weren't too bad. He would pick out on that. Yeah.
I know. Don't. It's Sunday. Sunday's my cheat day. I have to go on the way home. I'm looking at those Doritos over there.
Yeah, it's tough.
How do you stay so strong? Doritos. Yeah. No, but I think that the term narcissism is something we really need to sort of redefine, because we've been talking shit about narcissism for a long time. Yet it's a prime attractant for women. And then, so if that's the case,
narrow it down.
If that's the case, then why would that be? Why would narcissistic men be attractive to women? Why would psychopathic men be attractive? Why would Machiavellianism be attractive to men? We don't want to have those conversations. We just want to say that these are dark. They're antisocial. So what's the opposite of antisocial? It's pro-individual. So what's good for the individual seems to be what women are attracted to. Imagine that. The more, like, do the chicks dig jerks? I can't believe it. Do I have to be an asshole? No, but you have to harness the energy and the attitude of the asshole. You don't have to be, a son of a bitch.
Well, you have I always say it wrong, but it's you are at the center of your own universe, right?
That's a point of origin.
You're at your point of origin. People say, "Oh, you're an asshole," or you're but no, you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're your own priority.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, Ken. Thank you for that dollar. Wait, here you go, Ken, for your dollar. Yes, you get a Don DeMarco for $1 and $100. That's the only way you get those. Thank you,
Marco,
AED,
for a buck.
that. For a buck. Yes. See, there's your dollars. Every now and then, I'm very generous. See, I'm a very generous and loving God. Hey, Rollo, the ideal of feminism is for women to be in an egalitarian or gynocentric relationship with women like the woman on whatever and Cornelia Slunjiski.
Oh, must have been somebody on there.
Slutsky.
Yeah,
I don't know who that is.
Don't listen to what they say. Watch what they do. Don't listen to
Feminism
what they
is
want. Look at who they date.
Feminism is a hate movement. It's never been about equality. It has only been about retribution and restitution. That's
Right.
all it's ever been about. There are no waves of feminism. There is no good feminism. There's no bad feminism. There's just feminism.
Right.
And I will tell you right now, it is a power grab. It is a zero-sum game.
Yep.
And it is a supremacy, is a gender sex supremacism movement is what it is. And
Right.
it always has been. If you follow it, if you have any kind of and I don't have a PhD in fucking feminism, right? But I'm well enough aware of the Seneca Falls Convention in 1849. When the 19th Amendment was ratified? 1920. That's when it was.
Yeah.
By one vote, by one simpy beta kid whose mom told him to do it, right?
Yeah.
I know enough about that. I also know that the suffragettes were considered terrorists of the time, both in the United States and the UK. Voting was the attitude towards voting back in the mid 1800s versus how we are right now is completely different. So
Right.
you have to take those things into consideration whenever you're talking about feminism. And I'll tell you right now, it's I would love to get into some sort of feminist, history lesson for these chicks on whatever podcast at some point, because I'll guarantee you they don't know jack shit about it.
Yeah.
It's just about being equal and egalitarianism. No, it's not. I don't know who Cornelia Slunjinsky is, but apparently you do. Now I'm gonna that's an interesting name. I want to look it up. Oh, Rollo, I can't be remiss to ask you what your thoughts on Kamala's ad campaign was about. Did you see that?
Which one?
The one.
They've tried 4 or 5 different phases of advertising and marketing.
Okay.
Nothing's sticking. So
there's only one I'm familiar with, and I can't imagine it's not the one you're talking about. It's Vichy males, okay, which is like the Vichy French.
Oh, right.
They are basically traitors to your fucking
that one.
gender.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. It's like
bros for Kamala.
Bros for Kamala.
Bros for
Right.
Kamala.
Well,
the ones that Trump talked about at the weekend.
Yes.
How, what are all their wives?
And their wives' boyfriends or their wives. Yeah.
Love me.
Love the cuckold. Yeah. Dig. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it will. I think what's interesting is it shows you where their priorities are. So, for instance, would you like me to repeat this again? I'll be happy to. About mid-July, July or August of 2022, Progressive Victory, the Democratic National Committee's super PAC, fronted by Sam Drismala, decided they were going to start buying influencers such as Jasmine Jafar, Farah, Pixie, Destiny, and a whole bunch of other Twitch kids whose names I don't care to remember, and started paying them large sums of money to be the sock puppets for the DNC. Okay. Why did they do that? Well, because they're afraid that the red pill and a lot of the guys who are on our side of the fence anyways are going to be radicalized. And that's the first step for them wanting to vote for Trump or voting for more conventionally masculine candidates, let's just say.
Right.
Why is Rollo Tomassi still on the DHS watch list? Why am I still a target of diverting hate NGO? Why? I'll tell you why. Why? Just all you got to do is look and see where my traffic is being diverted to. It's being diverted to Justin Baldoni,
right?
A prime contributor to the Kamala Harris fucking cause, right? That's where it's state approved masculinity in the United States under the Democrats looks like Justin Baldoni. That's who it looks like. So when we're talking about politics, and we'll get into this probably a little bit more as we get closer to November 5th. And by the way, don't forget, Access Vegas, we're doing election night Access Vegas on that Tuesday with a roundtable of girls. We're going to be talking politics and gender politics. And the reason why I'll bring this up right now is because in 2024, really the 21st century in general, all politics are gender politics. Every single time. Every time there's an election, whether it's a midterms or it's a general election, whatever, a local election, every time you cast a vote, it is a gendered vote. Right. Trust me on this, because as soon as I know Pearl's big on whatever, repeal the 19th, right? You're never going to repeal the 19th. Shut the fuck up about that. Stop wasting your time with this and learn how you can use your vote to get whatever it is that assuming you even think voting actually still does anything these days.
Yeah.
But the reason why I'm on that DHS still to this day. I'm hoping in November maybe things change, because it was supposed to be for a 1-year deal, right? And November is when they started. But if you look at the amount of money that is being funneled through like Tenet Media on the right, and then you look at the amount of money that's being funneled through Progressive Victory, through schmucks like Destiny and the rest of these guys who are basically paid mouthpieces of the DNC and have been for some time. And if you have platformed these people, and yes, I know Fresh and Fit have, but if you're platforming these people, you are complicit in Kamala Harris's campaign.
That's right.
You have just been a mouthpiece. You've been a platform for Kamala Harris.
Yeah. But that's how you know that the advertising campaign for the Bros for Kamala didn't work, was because the memes ratioed it so quickly that they had to move on to something else. Because you look at these guys, it's like, can they do a push-up?
No, of course not. Well, and
it was amazing. It's like, is anybody going to touch their pee-pee in the next year?
You know Scott Galloway, right? We've talked about Scott Galloway before.
Oh, yes.
Scott Galloway seems like he knows what he's talking about until it comes down to like he can get the diagnosis right. His cure is, well, we need to
socialism.
Yeah, we need to put men and boys in re-education camps because testosterone is the most damaging chemical on planet Earth, and we have global warming because men are toxically masculine. I'm like, where the fuck are you coming up with this shit?
Yeah.
And so when I see stuff like that, and I look at who is allowed to become popular, and who is put on a fucking DHS watch list, myself, Rich Cooper, Aaron Clary.
Aaron, really?
You couldn't find. I love you, Aaron, but couldn't find somebody else. But the reason why is because they're worried. They were scared shitless that guys like myself are going to radicalize incels, because incel was the boogeyman for this year and has been really for the last 18 months. Looking at you, Will Costello. They needed, and if there's no boogeyman, no one gets paid. Who's getting paid? Let's see. Everybody working for for Progressive Victory. Let's see. Diverting hate at ASU, getting paid my fucking tax dollar. I'm paying for it right now because I'm going to be taxed on the money I make off your super chats. Sorry, and they're going to take that money and they're going to take those taxes and they're going to give it to the diverting hate through the DHS. That's how we're basically funding. Essentially, I mean, indirectly, we're funding our own fucking demise, right? Why am I on that list? Because they are scared shitless that Rollo Tomassi is going to say something that's true about female nature or whatever, and that through some sort of slippery slope, I'm going to lead to more men voting for Trump. That's basically what it rolls down to. They would not be buying influencers, like Progressive Victory would not be buying influencers as far back as 2 years, well, more than 2 years ago now. They would not have been buying them as far back as July of 2022 if they weren't already thinking about this 2 years in advance.
Yeah.
They already knew this. This was on the fucking books.
Yeah.
Same thing with Tenet Media. Now, Tenet Media is being funded by, allegedly, by Russian influencers or whatever. They're buying influencers as well. Outside interests can now buy influencers. Tim Pool, Lauren Chen, Lauren Southern, all the rest of these people who have in any way had to, like Lauren Southern looking at you too, because you're the one who's benefited with your documentaries, and Alex from Date Psych doing all the same thing. Where did that money come from? You don't care. You're not going to look for it. You don't.
Right.
Yeah. So, and again, I'll say the same thing I said about Destiny. I'll say the same thing about them. It's like, if somebody is paying you to carry their water for them, you are a sock puppet. You should have an asterisk by whatever video you have that this was paid for with Russian money. This was paid for by the DNC.
Crazy, wasn't it?
Yes, whoever it is. There should be some disclaimer saying this is a paid political ad.
Yeah,
for whatever it is, and that's how they get around that
dark money stuff floating around. Who's getting
thoughts on Obama calling black men misogynistic?
Man, do you think that really went over that well with the black guys? I mean, really? I know I have a couple of really good friends, black, and I don't think they're going to take that well.
Come, welcome to the Red Pill.
Yes. Yeah.
You're already here.
I wasn't surprised. I wasn't.
What you talking about? We're already here.
that's how much of a bubble I think he is in now, that he doesn't realize just how far out he went. Like that didn't help. That probably hurt the cause more than
Rolo,
helped
what
it.
are your thoughts on Kamala desperate for the men's vote, including both white and black men? Well, as I said, it's been something that's been in the works for the last 2 years, covertly. And I think that as far back as when Will Costello started doing his incel research only at incel.co and that whole, like not doing anything outside of that, right? Basically getting his PhD. I think now we can see the machinations behind all this stuff. Of course, what did they do? The DHS uses that study to therefore verify that incels should be on a domestic terrorist watch list, that they are now considered domestic terrorists.
I think this is the problem that they're going to have. They're going to be the scapegoat. They're going to be the patsy after the election if she does lose. What I've seen in the polling since she knifed Joe Biden and took over the nomination, the independent undecideds that are out there are predominantly men. Almost 67% of undecided independents are men. And they're breaking at that ratio to Trump towards the end. Even after the debate, 60 to 70% were breaking to Trump. And that was not a great debate for him. But she couldn't close the deal with those undecided independents, men and women.
I think there was, honestly, I think there was I don't think that Kamala was going to be the nominee to begin with. Like when Biden,
it'll be very interesting.
Out,
eventually the truth will come out.
And I don't know why they didn't do this, because I mean, maybe I'm smarter than them. I don't know, but I don't know why she's the candidate. I thought Gavin Newsom would be the candidate because he has got way more youth going for him. He's got a better, like imagine a debate between Trump and Gavin Newsom and how that would have gone down.
Yeah. Well, it's one of two things. The junta, it either just didn't turn out the way the junta wanted it, or it did because she'll say and do whatever they want.
No, I think honestly, I think the DNC is more worried about the masculinity thing. They know, DNC above all other parties know that every election is a gendered election. All politics are gender politics, and Republicans need to fucking catch up. They're running 20th century campaigns in the 21st century. They're running a 21st century or 20th century candidate in the 21st century.
I think that's why Obama came out and did what he did. They're looking at the polls. They know that black men are breaking in record numbers towards Trump this time, and they're coming out and they're wagging their finger at men.
They're gonna blame it on
You're just doing it because she's a woman.
Fucking red pill guys.
You're doing it just because she's a woman, and that's men are going to be the patsy afterwards if she does lose.
Yeah. Well, it's just, okay. So whenever Hollywood puts out a piece of shit movie and they know it's going to be garbage, and it's usually like Miss Marvel or something like that, or it's like supposed to be like it's the all-female cast of Ghostbusters, right? They know it's going to be a dog, and they do that on purpose. And the reason for them doing it on purpose is because it's not about the movie itself, it's about the narrative that's going to be circling around it. So for instance, and by the way, this is a way for them to market movies now, is they know it's going to be a piece of shit, and they already preset that into the marketing plan, saying it failed because men are still toxic pieces of shit. It'll
be interesting because remember, was it a comedian? Somebody got absolutely savaged for making fun of that movie about one of the women that was an actor.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who it was, but he was like, he lost work and money, got savaged.
Yeah.
And
it was the big girl from the big black chick that was in Ghostbusters. Milo Yiannopoulos got banned from Twitter for that.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And like it'll be funny to see who the big name patsies will be. This was why she lost, was because of you.
Yeah.
Did they try to pick out certain men for this, or certain women, or just in general?
Last thing, Rolo, if Kamala wins, you are public enemy number one. I'm already public enemy number one. Are you fully prepared for the crap storm coming your way? I've been dealing with it all year, quite honestly. Since March, when the biannual report came out. I'm hoping I can get the final report so that I can use that in my civil suit when there's supposed to be a class action suit against diverting hate right now. So
Yeah.
once I get the because there's a biannual report, so the next one should come out in November. If I can get my hands on that and prove that they are directly limited the traffic to this channel and basically throttled my in collusion with YouTube, throttled my fucking traffic here.
That's a violation of your civil rights.
Yeah, that's a lot of money, man. Hey, Rollo, question. Do you think the Dems win? If the Dems win this presidential election, that it'll further affect intersexual dynamics negatively in the United States? No, we go back to everything is fucking sweep the table. It's time to clear the table. Put your bets on the pass line, because once we get past, I'm glad you brought that up, because I've already talked about this on a few occasions. Is once we get to November 6th. Like, you're going to see the dynamic on YouTube and on Twitter and on social media is all going to change. It might not change overnight, but it's going to change dramatically. People are going to pivot, because the shit that plays right now, this social imperative. I was just looking at this guy who was like giving me this Catholic. I'll play this thing. It's this Catholic guy talking to another Catholic guy about how he hates me or hates the red pill or whatever else. And he thinks that the red pill is about politics. I'm like, oh, in its original sense, it was about politics. I'm like, dude, you have no earthly idea what you're talking about. I can show you the very first instance on So Suave where I used the term red pill in 2004. Trust me, asshat, it's way different, way
deeper.
Yeah, when you were watching Fairly Odd Parents and fucking Phineas and Ferb, I was writing about this shit.
Right.
So like, go home, don't hurt yourself, and then we'll talk after the fucking election when you can. Then I'll accept your apology after the fucking election, because that's really what this is about. It's like there's this desperate need to turn the red pill into politics. And by the way, I said exactly this, and I have the video queued up too.
Right.
Exactly this to Myron and Fresh in March of 2021. People want to turn the red pill into, as a term, it's as a loose brand. They want to turn it into whatever their pet ideology happens to be.
Right.
It's exactly what they did in 2020, exactly what they did in 2016. I keep bringing this up. Candace Owens used to call herself Red Pill Black in 2016. Because back then the red pill was still being appropriated by people who have no business calling anything red pill.
Right.
So it has only ever been about intersexual dynamics. It will only ever be that way. So, hey Rollo, my other YouTube account got shadow banned and they couldn't let me super chat here. These shadow ban stuff is of the red pill is nuts. Yes, and it's only going to get worse. People want to know what I would do if suddenly Kamala gets into office. I think it's funny. It's like, well, what do you think, the Gestapo is going to like show up and do you think is that what's going to happen as soon as the November 6th rolls around? I was telling you this, and one of the other guys in Reignite, I said I don't think Kamala's going to win. I think Trump's already in.
Right.
And the reason I said that is because you don't see any. Here we are 2 weeks out from the general. You don't see Antifa losing their shit. You don't see rioting. They're not setting Minneapolis on fire. They're not setting downtown Portland on fire. There's no Black Lives Matter anywhere to be found. There's no COVID. There's no, look at all the shit that went down in 2020. None of that. It's crickets right now. And I think the reason is because they've resigned themselves to saying we're going to lose this fucking election, and they would rather maintain and reserve all the stuff that they have so that they can put probably Newsom, I guess, up in 2028, because they realize that the cause is already lost. Otherwise, they would have all these motherfuckers out in the street. We would have, forest fires in fucking the Angeles Crest, forest right now, and it would just be mayhem. Think about, people have very fucking short memories, man. And you don't, I'm looking at old posts of mine from 2020 on my Twitter, and I was talking about how there was arson going on, because I was very concerned with that living in Reno, because the fires were getting very close to my houses, right? Yeah. And it was arson. And if you look at the people who are setting these fires, they look like people who would be supporting fucking Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, right? And so up and down the entire West Coast of the United States, it's just this one long fire that just goes all the way down from Washington State all the way down to fucking Cabo San Lucas, man. And it's just insane. And I'm like, when does this happen in an election year? When does Antifa act up in an election year? When do we start worrying about gender politics, abortion? We don't have these conversations we won't have these conversations in 2025. It'll be something else. We won't be talking about like women's rights and, kicking back the Roe v. Wade to the states. No, in fact, nobody even talked about that in 2023.
No.
It was a huge thing in 2022, but nobody talked about it in 2023.
Yeah.
Because here's what's going to happen. I'm not worried one fucking bit. You know why? Because as soon as November 6th rolls around, nobody's going to know what to do with themselves because they have basically went all in on culture war, on social issues, on politics, on Zionism, for where the fuck that came from, right? All this stuff that everybody finds so goddamn important, like deathly important right now.
Yeah.
November 6th, a fart in the wind, man.
Yeah.
You trust me on this because exactly the same thing happened at the end of 2020 and into 2021. And I brought that up on, where did it go? Let's see if I can bring this up here. Where's my Rollo videos? There they are.
Yeah, it's the enthusiasm. They're trying to gin up the enthusiasm.
Here you go.
A lot of guys keep asking me, do you think that, and I think we talked about this last time I was here, is like, do you think that the red pill is going to go mainstream?
Yes,
and I'm like, well,
that.
it depends on what you think is mainstream. First off, is it like, are we going to see it on CNN or MSNBC, or is it, are people, are you going to hear about it around the water? What's this new red pill thing? I don't think so. I answered that yesterday. I hope not, because the red pill is something that is, one of the reasons why we use the red pill as an analogy, and a lot of people, when they hear it, or they'll hear certain things like the red pill or unplugging, like I'll say unplugging from the matrix, or your blue pill or your purple pill or whatever, that kind of stuff. And I think when an immature mind kind of doesn't get the metaphor, that's one thing I try not to use online is metaphor and allegory, and because everyone will take it literally, automatic. The blue pill's not really the right allegory for that. Let me tell you exactly what I think, right? And so you have this literalist kind of mindset that like kind of tears all that stuff apart. I hope not, because what I was a little bit more concerned about with the red pill going mainstream, I've been talking about this for a long time. If you go back to like say 2012, 2013, Roosh even said, hey, this is the year, it was 2013. This is the year that the red pill is going to go mainstream. Like, still waiting for my red pill mainstream check. It's not in the mail. Hasn't shown up in the mail yet. And then in 2018, I did a State of the Manosphere address, which it's on the 21 convention site, but it's something I'm proud of. I don't, you go look at it. I think it still holds up very well today. Yeah. And I talked about
Rollo
exactly
doesn't hate, you know what I'm saying? He just,
I don't hate the stuff that I did. Yeah. I think I did some pretty good stuff. I thought that was a very good, and if you go back and I was actually reviewing that for yesterday's show. And I was like, man, a lot of this stuff that I was talking about just 2.5 years ago is coming to pass right now. And I did in that show, or in that talk, I did a SWOT analysis. Do you know what a SWOT analysis is? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I think it's like what a company will do, like when they're trying to brainstorm, like where are we going to take this company in the next like 3 years or 5 years or something.
Absolutely.
So it's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so I was kind of breaking down like what's the manosphere, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, and as if it was, we're all in this together, so let's talk about this. And one of the things one of the threats, I think is either weaknesses or the threat. I think it was the threats. I said, there's the red pill at some point is going to have sort of a PR crisis. I don't know what it's called. Maybe it's not a crisis, isn't really the word, but like we're going to get to a point where it goes mainstream, and then the people who are taking it mainstream, my main concern was that the people who are supposed to be an authority on the red pill aren't necessarily the authority that ought to be out there telling the story of the manosphere.
Right.
Catch that? That's exactly what I said in March 2021. Yeah. There are going to be people out there who should not be talking about the red pill, who are going to claim it to be authorities.
Or the red pill, or what is this about? Because people use the red pill in so many different ways and in so many different contexts right now that it gets really very confusing. When you throw something out that sounds like, it sounds like a buzzword, it sounds like a catchphrase, it sounds like something that is easy to hate on, right? It's a convenient villain. is what I called it.
Yep.
And so when you give somebody like it's like the alt-right, or it was the red pill, or it was, you know, just something that sounds sinister. And it's easy to like for like kind of simple minds to sort of understand.
Yeah.
Well, you can turn it into anything you want to at that point. So the red pill can be about politics. It could be about religion. It could be about anything. And to me, it's always been about intersexual dynamics. And like I keep saying, I wish there was some better term, some better abstraction we could use, but it's still the analogy from the Matrix movie still fits to this day. And I don't think it's going mainstream in the way that I think a lot of people would like to see it go mainstream. But my concern is that even if it did go mainstream, I would be a little bit concerned about the message that is being made. This is official. This is really what the red pill's all about, because I think we're still kind of sorting that out.
So, because we did that, because for the people that are wondering,
that's good enough.
Yeah,
I'll show you. Yeah. So I've used this clip on several occasions. If you want to clip it, I'll be happy to give it to you. And yes, this was pre-DRT for me. Boy, his voice is a lot deeper these days. Well, yes, let's get it on. Yeah. So, but I wanted to point that out because, like, I especially now, because we're getting up to election time, and remember that in March of 2021, that was right after the election. That was just like 2 months after, well, actually 2 months after January 6th, right? Yeah. And so we just got out of that. And I just realized, when I was talking to the guys, because this was back when Fresh and Fit, like I had more subs than Fresh and Fit did in that show. I was at 85,000 and they were at something like 35,000 at that point. Right. Now they passed me up really quickly, and then I got up to 100 grand after that. But this is a pre super success Fresh and Fit at that time. And so I'm like, we're just having an honest conversation about this. And I was one of the first guests that was on the show, and the first repeat guest anyways. I'm still really good friends with them. But what was the topic? It was exactly what I'm talking about right now. Right. That's because this shit keeps coming up over and over and over again. And people just want to redefine the red pill as whatever their pet ideology happens to be. So if it's about conservative politics, I said in the thing, alt-right, whatever it was. And then what was my other concern? That people who are like going to claim to be authorities on the red pill, who have no business being in the red pill, are going to be the ones who are going to be making, grifting off the money. And then, so I'm looking at you, Pearl. I'm looking at Chris Williamson. I'm looking at people who want to straw man the red. Now you'll make more money off of straw manning the red pill instead of trying to say that you're an authority on the red pill. Yeah. What's going to happen next? This is Rolo's prediction. What we'll see in 2025 is we'll see this return to MGTOW and to I'm leaving. I'm out of this. I don't want to have anything to do with this, because that's where we were in 2021. That's when you see people like MGTOW Dictionary and some of these other guys who are really critical of dating coaches, right? And they don't want to believe that anybody could actually make any kind of improvement, because all we are is selling sweet sunshine to people we're manipulating these poor vulnerable men, right? And without knowing what they're really talking about. And so then the cycle is going to come right back around once again. So we'll probably go into sort of a MGTOW black pill, probably 6 months, I would say. Yeah. And then shit will change after that. So, but trust me, I'm going to remember the names of everybody who's red pill adjacent right now, because you won't be on my fucking show. It's just unbelievable. What do you got here? Broke up with my 38-year-old girlfriend. I'm 33. Well, good news for you. In great shape, 5% earner, but my Insta sucks. Next step, live in Austin, Texas.
Men of action.
Men of action. Oh, you're 33. So, okay. Men of action.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good demo. The 25 to 35-year-old crowd is really
and
good.
Stop dating 38-year-old
sort it out.
Yeah.
Get you on a path.
First mistake, 38.
Yeah. Older's not. Well,
yes. 38.
He's done what did we call it earlier? The hag maxing. He's done with hag maxing.
Okay, so you've experienced
now. It's time to go back to the 20-something-year-olds. Now that you're in your
Instagram
30s.
Sucks. Well, here's what you do. You can go and that's actually part of MOA.
That's correct.
Actually, part of Reignite too.
Yeah.
We help you with how to sort of maximize your Instagram, at least so that you have a fighting chance.
Yes, correct.
People go, oh, these old guys don't know what they're talking about. No, but we have people who do know what they're fucking talking about.
Oh yeah.
Don't look at my Instagram as any kind of metric by which you should be measuring your own.
You come to Vegas and see Casey Herzog or Vincent Del Toro, you're going to get yourself sorted
Corey
out.
Shallof's good too. Corey's good shit.
I just never worked with. I worked
I know,
with the
yeah,
other two.
I like Corey's stuff. I like him in principle. I like there's a, and you've done this before too. Like the idea of like, I think this is Corey's thing, where you're in an exotic location or something that looks like an exotic location.
You're showing access to scarce resources.
Yes.
Essentially, what you're
And
doing
it's
with
just
some of the photographs.
it's just you,
right?
And maybe your motorcycle or maybe a car, expensive car.
Yeah.
But there's a place here in Las Vegas called Tivoli Ranch. It looks like fucking downtown Milan, or
It does.
looks,
It's an amazing
looks
spot.
like you're in Italy. And if you can go there at 5 a.m. when no one is there, you can take a pretty good shot.
You can ride around on your motorcycle without a helmet.
Yes,
It's really cool.
You can take a really good shot there. The great thing about Instagram is that it has never been easier. It never been a time in history that has been easier to sort of fake the cues of high value.
Right.
And and not necessarily you are, but to be able to say, sort of like figure out what works and then take those shots and then use those as sort of like a, I hate to use the term as an advertising medium, but that's exactly what it is. Right. Jason Hartman, who will be in here tomorrow, he was the one who gave me this line: is that Instagram is basically funnel marketing for women. And it's true.
Correct.
Especially if it doesn't necessarily even have to be that they're on OnlyFans. It's like whatever they're trying to get out of life, you can go and use Instagram as your advertising media.
That's right.
You're advertising sexuality, you're advertising availability.
Yeah.
Never. So why not leverage that for yourself? And a woman being commander in chief when women don't have to sign up for the draft, be in the infantry is crazy, or largely die in war is crazy to me. Yeah. Well, that's another. Oh, and here you go. Thank you very much for the $100. Love you too, bro fist. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was gonna say is especially when we come to, but especially in a day and age where, and you guys probably don't know this, but what is it? Selective services. They automatically sign you.
It's
up.
automatically done.
You're automatically signed up now as a man. You there's no choice. You can't opt out of it, and there's never been a more you want to talk about sexism? We have endemic, institutionalized sexism when it comes to selective services.
Correct.
And have had it since they started it back in like the 60s, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
well, I mean, they changed it from the draft too.
Yeah. I do not look like Sylvester Stallone, please. What do you say?
I said your guess.
By the way, your guest looks like Sylvester Stallone. Yeah, he kind of does, like in Tulsa King.
Tulsa King. Is that what he's talking about? All right.
That's funny.
Usually it's the most interesting man in the world.
Tulsa King.
It's like, give me tequila. I'll prove it.
Dude, I tell you, the thing
I have gotten that once or twice, Sylvester Stallone. That's
Tulsa
true.
King, man.
Yeah.
He's still a good looking dude.
Because he's 75?
75. Yeah, he's
mid-70s
right
now.
Mid-70s. In the show, he says he's like 75.
Freaking great. Yeah. Man. He does.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, he's not like dating like super young chicks, but like way younger chicks want to get with Sylvester Stallone, right?
Yeah.
And not just because he's Sylvester Stallone. Jesus Christ. But
no, older masculine men are fulfilling a certain need for younger feminine women right now. I mean, and I think it's always been that way.
Say it with me, Rollo. These nuts. Okay, there you go. All right. Jesus. For $40 of some currency, I have no idea what that is. Here you go. There's your these nuts.
These nuts
for your Indian rupees or whatever the fuck that was. Oh Jesus! No, I was gonna say is like I love that show, Tulsa King. In fact, that was one of the inspirations for Reignite. Was the guy who writes that? His name is Taylor Sheridan.
Okay,
he's the writer. He created Tulsa King, and he also created Yellowstone. He also created 1921 or 1923, something like that, with Helen Mirren and Han Solo, and
in the 1800
and the 1800 one, which was really good too.
God,
all of those
good
and the one.
That
so I figured out Taylor Sheridan. Taylor Sheridan writes stories that are comparisons of how things used to be and how things are right now.
Right.
And you get the same dynamic in Tulsa King because, and spoiler alert, the character of Tulsa King what's his name? God, it's on the tip of my tongue right now too. Manfredi. That's what it is. Right. Yeah, Mr. Manfredi goes to jail for a crime he didn't commit, but he takes one for the team. Right. He goes to jail for 25 years. He comes out, he's 75 years old. So he must have gone in when he was 50, he comes out at 75. He takes that time to sort of like, read Art of War and just like sort of like educate himself and everything else. Yeah. And so he becomes a very educated person, blah, blah, blah. And then he comes out and then the mob sends him to Tulsa because they're afraid he'll take over like the New York mob, right? So they send him to Tulsa, Oklahoma, of all places. That's where the funny part is. But the premise is that here's a guy who's been stuck in cryogenic freeze for 25 years, and now he comes out
like someone who's married.
Yeah, exactly, like somebody who would be married, who'd been in a sexist relationship, and doesn't know all of his social skills have atrophied. He's unfamiliar with the fact that like the marijuana is legal in this. I guess it is in the state of Oklahoma. Right. And so he strong arms the first dispensary he could find because he thinks he's like taking over some drug dealing operation. It's like, no, bro, it's legal.
This is legal.
Yeah. And so all of these things that have changed, like technologies, the Instagram, he can't even drive a car because he doesn't have a driver's license. And so he's got also, and I thought about this and I go, this is really kind of like a similar Stranger in a Strange Land. That's what it is. Correct. And so, and a lot of the stuff, there's moments in the show where he makes these comparisons about how things used to be and how things are and why do we like, there was a scene in the last one, a spoiler alert, scene in the last one where his grandchildren are going to go to this private school, and it's very participation trophy school, and it's very we're going to talk about our feelings, and we get into drum circle and kind of stuff. He's like, when are they going to teach about money? When are they going to teach? Like, he's trying to teach his grandchildren how to fight, right, and how to like sort of be more competitive, whereas his daughter is taking them, wants them to go to a good private school because this is where they're going to get a really good education, yada yada. But it's in such a way that it's more like egalitarian, whereas like he's very much more hierarchical, right? Because he's a guy, he's a man's man, right? And so it's this sort of, they want to make it sort of like it's funny because it's like this older way of thinking versus this newer way of thinking, and it's the basis of a lot of comedy as it is. Sure. Anyways, like, oh, he's an old man, he thinks in the way that an older generation used to think. It's like, no, he thinks practically, and he thinks in a way that has saved his life on many, many times. Yeah. It still is, actually, according to the plot of the show. Yeah. And so it's this, and everything he does, even in 1923 and 1823 as well, whatever. Yeah, even in those shows, like there's this one part in, I think it was 1923, and Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren are talking about the new fad of women like shaving their armpits, because up until like all the characters have to have furry armpits. That's right. Because it wasn't a thing until it came over from France into the United States during the mid-20s, like Roaring *20s.
God bless the French.
It became
that
the thing.
French fries.
I know. And now you go over to France, and all the bitches have like hair.
Yeah. I didn't know it was supposed to be duck fat, but I'll take it.
Yeah. But like they're saying, I don't think it'll catch on. Here we are in the 21st century, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's like a cultural transitional period.
Yeah, well, it's like what used to be. Like, it used to be that like women with a little bit of underarm hair was like fashionable, right? But now it's like the French thing to do. Right. They've been doing that for really since the mid-20s. That's when it started. Women started shaving their pits in the mid-20s. Yep. And so, and I don't think people really realize that.
It's interesting that's when it came over.
Yeah.
It took off.
It was a cultural thing too. It was a French thing. Oh, the French are doing it. It must be cool, right? Yeah, it's funny. And then like the idea of Stranger in a Strange Land, A Brave New World. That's really what it's.
That was like the first one. They're going across the country to go establish the Yellowstone,
do something new. And here's how we used to do it, and here's how we will
going through Indian countries.
Yeah. It's tough.
It was savage. I mean,
the
people died again.
I mean, spoiler alert again. Like pretty much all of them died.
It was tragic. Yeah, but it was like that's what compelled you. It's like, I loved him. He's a great writer.
Yeah, fantastic writer. But I think great in the sense that like he has this grasp on what used to be and like what is now.
Oh yeah.
And that comes through in Tulsa King. And like I said before, it's why I said Reignite needed to be this program where we reintegrate guys back into into society. Like when you come out of like the joint, when you've been in prison, they have programs for like ex-cons, right? so that they can get reintegrate back into society after having been out for a while. They have to get jobs. They have to be productive members of society. And it's really hard when you're a convicted criminal, right? So I always looked at like the premise of Reignite as being sort of more along the lines of like reintegrating guys back into the sexual marketplace, because all of their social skills have atrophied over the course of 25 years, right? They've been in sexless marriages for maybe the last 10 of those years. And that's why you have to watch out for things like sugar babies. You have to watch out for, oh, she's going to touch you. It's the Molly talking, but she's still doing this to you. And just that one touch is enough for to send that guy into fucking epileptic shock, right? Yeah. And so those kinds of things is to help guys like understand, like, she's not in love with you, she's just on Molly, right? She's she finds you attractive, but she also wants you to pay her a monthly stipend and be her sponsor, right? Yeah. How do you avoid those things? How do you actually have an honest relationship with a woman? How do you get what you want out of that relationship?
I think that's a key thing for the demographic that they need to understand and appreciate. You know, you're spending money on yourself, so you're making an investment in yourself, which is great because guys will enter into the program and they'll follow through on the program. Yeah. But and we'll help you figure out what it is you're looking for, and we'll help you set those goals and attain those goals. But we will help you save money. Yeah. And we will help you save time. You will be proficient with your time. And those are almost that. I mean, it's almost, you almost can't quantify how much will save you in time and money from running into these sugar babies these sharks.
I was talking to
Jason out there.
Jason Hartman was asking me questions about it too, because I think he wants to get involved with Reignite, which I'm thrilled with, of course. But I told him, I said, you know, it's really good. Like, people say, well, oh, you guys are just fleecing these poor guys and they don't know. Like, well, what else are you going to do? What else is there available to them? What else? How do you if you have a better idea? I'm all fucking.
It's not a fleece, because we're saying, look, if you believe in yourself, you can invest in yourself, and we want you to make this investment yourself, because you'll follow, you'll see it through, because you're putting financial money down on the table, and you're also man, if I spent this money, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it. That's why Mike calls it men of action. Yeah. You are going to act.
It keeps you honest. That's why, like, when people say, well, Rollo, how come you charge so much for one-on-ones? It's like to keep you honest and to keep me honest.
Correct.
Right. So if there's money on the table, we're going to be a lot more serious about this thing. You're going to show up when you say you're going to show up, and I'm going to give you the best analysis I can give of your situation. But like the idea, there's always going to be critics who are going to say shit like this. But I want to know, like, even if you're critical, I even still want to hear it. Like, tell me why you're critical of this whole thing. And then if you are, what's the alternative? What do you think would be a better idea? How do you think we should go about this? Yeah. And 90% of them won't know what to say, right?
That's true.
Or like, I got to listen to fucking Chris Williamson and the rest of these pricks talk about, like, oh, I think the red pill is so damaging and black pill this and whatever. Okay, what's your fucking alternative? Yeah. Tell me what would be a better fucking program. Show me somebody who is doing it.
Because we're in the field.
We're doing it. Yeah. You want to complain about, oh, these red pill guys, they just talk about shit, and they just, you know, dress these girls down on these shows, and they talk shit about women all the time. They're not really doing anything. I'm doing something. We've been doing it for at least the last 6 months, almost 8 months now, right? Yeah. Who else is doing something? No one else is doing this except for us.
Well, and because I think we're all much more open to constructive criticism to try to find ways to do this better and be able to provide a better product
at the
for
end
guys.
Of every single gig we do. We ask that we get feedback. In fact, we build it into the schedule because we want feedback from everybody that we're, you know, tell us what we did good, tell us what we did wrong, and tell us how we can improve, because we want to make it good for everybody who, you know, I want it to, every last guy that we work with, whether they come to the events or they're just part of the community, they all have unique needs. They all have something that, like, they need to work on. Now, some of them have similar needs, but they always have some unique combination of those needs. And that's why the Reignite program is not just me yammering on. It's you, it's Joe, it's, you know, people we can get for nutrition and for workouts. You need somebody to do you a workout. I know Hide Yamagishi. He'd be happy to do it for us. I know, Drew Bay. Drew Bay is a 52 now and competing in masterclass bodybuilding contests. He would be he'd be overjoyed to give you a workout program, right? Yeah. It's not just about me. It's about the network of guys that are, like, putting the whole thing together.
It's the whole social circle, not just us, but the guys that join us in this program. Yeah. You know, it's great to see them at the end of it with that smile and that twinkle in their eye, like they're leaving with so much more, and they just can't wait to get home.
I'm just going to name Harold.
To apply Harold it. You know, they just can't wait to get back home to start applying the stuff that they learn.
Yeah,
and see it work, because they saw it work here. They saw it work with us.
Yeah.
And then they'll just
and then
grow
they go
from
and
there.
they apply it to, and it's okay. We're kind of giving it to them with training wheels. I mean, we take them to Babes
that's
in
good.
Toyland, but you have to fish where the fish are. So whether you're doing it in Los Angeles or Vegas or wherever you're in the Midwest, somewhere in Paducah, Kentucky, you still have to be able to have these same skills and then reapply them wherever you are. Now, granted, it's going to be a different context in Kansas City, but it's going to be the same ideas.
I try to tell people you come here, you're going to work harder. When you're with us, you're going to work harder. When you go home, it's going to be easier. This is hard work here.
Yeah.
Vegas and Los Angeles and what we do and what we show them and introduce them into.
I know. Yeah. I'm gonna piss off Myra. I'm gonna piss off Myra. Myra, I know he thinks that Miami is like
Brickell's impressive.
Brickell is it's up top tier,
It's
but
up there.
the Olympics is right here in Las Vegas. This is the toughest sexual marketplace on the planet.
If you can do it here, you can definitely do it somewhere else.
For sure. All right, I got this last one here. Let's see. Rolla, I've been recently reading the Red Pill content. I am at rock bottom, 6'1", Muslim, can barely bench a plate. No women. How do I turn my life around? Some days I just lay in bed all day. Any advice? You want to give them some advice? I'm going to tell you, if the reason why you're laying in bed all day is probably because you're sedated with something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's the first thing you hear. First step, stop sedating yourself.
Right.
Discover what is sedating you and then stop that. I can tell you, I can give you all kinds of advice. You're 6'1". Hey, good. You got some sort of, you got a little bit of an advantage there. You can't bench a plate. Well, guess what? You already know what you need. You don't need me to tell you this. Get in the gym so that you can get bigger. That leads to other things. You want to join the Reignite program? Fine. You want to join Men of Action? Fine. There's people who are already here to help you with that. We have and again, the best thing about our partnership with MOA is MOA also we can tap into their network as well.
Right.
So not only do you have Reignite and our network and Rollo Tomasi and Joe and Jim and everybody else, you also have guys who are already part of Mike Sartain's group that are already networking with Mike. So if you want to get your business on track, if you're maybe your money muscles and game, maybe money is the aspect that you need to work on.
Game.
We already have the guys to help you with that.
But I think, we guys going on their Red Pill journey awareness all kind of go through this where they just do the deep dive rabbit hole down into all this stuff. And there comes a point where you've read so much and you've seen so many podcasts and you've listened and blah, blah, blah. It's time to act.
Yes.
It's time to
do something.
And I'm in an industry where I can't talk to anybody at work about what I do. I can't share how I feel or what I think about being red pill aware. Most of them are blue pill and they don't understand any of this stuff. I come here. My friends are Rollo and Joe and Mike because I want to soar with the Eagles. I want to be where the Eagles are. I want to, because you make me be better because being in that group
you can't not learn. You can't not learn something. Like I'll tell you what's funny is like they always say like in martial arts, like the black belt can still learn from the white belt.
Sure.
Right. And so like when we had a Airbnb and we had the guys staying there and we just sort of had our meetups and our talks there. It was great because it wasn't a classroom setting. Like I said, it was just very casual dudes, sitting around shooting the shit. Right. And there was one guy, can't name his name, but like he was a very good storyteller.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God damn, this guy, like I learned something from this guy. Like I was like, shit, now that's a really good story. That's really engaging. And I told him, I said, look, when you get to Babes in Toyland, remember that skill. Right. Remember this, because women love to have a story. They love human beings in general like to have a story told to them. And it's probably one of the better ways to have information conveyed to you is in personal stories. Right.
Yeah.
And so I thought about that and I go, I'm going to have to include something like that in the book.
Yeah.
Or we would be like, for instance, when we were not at this one, but the Babes in Toyland in Las Vegas in August, we have to we learned that we have to be careful of these guys getting sort of targeted by sugar babies. Yeah. So that's got to go in the book now too. Yeah. There has to be, we have to say, look, we're not only are we trying to help you with your inner social skills, we're trying to warn you and protect you against getting rolled by, by sugar babies. Stuff, unless that's what you really want to do. And then, then that's a whole nother can of worms.
Right.
But, I would much rather be able to like have you identify those types of women or identify, the kind of girl who's like on Molly, who's like touching you, and you think that it's the end of the world because you've been in a sexless relationship for a long time.
Yeah, I've got a really quick like. One of the things I learned when I was becoming an airline pilot was that the most dangerous pilot is the one that thinks they know everything.
Right.
So when we talk a lot about trying to become a better person every day, you're trying to learn things from other people. And now here I am, I'm an airline captain, I'm an instructor, I'm teaching other people. They come to me and they fly with me for their first 25 hours. But my goal, of course, my goal is to teach them and get them proficient so I can sign them off and they can go fly. But I know there's something they know that I don't. And so my goal is to try to figure out what that is, to try to learn from them, even though they're only a 1,500 hour, 23, 24-year-old first officer, they still have something that I can benefit from.
Sure.
So you have to be open to learn from just about,
back and forth.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it's not all one-way traffic.
I should have pointed that out in the very beginning of this show. Is like, like Jim actually has a real job.
It's not fashion. I don't make my money for fashion.
Yeah, he does. This is not his prime gig.
State and Liberty, you can send a check anytime you want.
This is not. Yeah, he is actually a honest to goodness airline pilot, airline captain, and instructor. On top of that too. But what else was it?
Well, I did do test pilot flying for
a while.
Well, when they come out of maintenance, we have to do test flight checks and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I'm basically we call it line check captain, line check pilot. So we will, like next week, I'm going to do line checks on 3 captains at one of the bases.
Joe Marin used to fly F-16s in
Joe
the Marine
Marin's
Corps.
a naval aviator. He's a naval aviator.
Yeah.
He is not a pilot. Right? And I know because if he was here, that's what he'd be saying off camera.
Well, the thing that's funny is like I think a lot of people think like, oh, these guys just got into this and they're making some money hand over fist and that's all they do. And it's no. Let me explain something to you. I used to work in wine and spirits. I used to work in gaming. I used to work at IGT in International Game Technology. I've worked for Van Gogh Imports. I've worked for other imports as well. I have 2 holdings in 2 brands of liquor that I still get royalties for right now. One of them you probably have heard. And I've worked in casino and gambling for quite some time. I've been an art director. I've been a graphic designer. I've been just an artist per se. I have a degree. I have a bachelor's of fine arts and I have a bachelor's of science in behavioral psychology.
Yeah.
So I have all this background, all this working knowledge. I didn't get into this because I was like, how can I get these guys? You know, it wasn't just creating some sort of hustle. And in fact, I think everybody who's part of the group had to come up somehow.
Yeah.
Even Mike Sartain is still technically an Air Force captain, right?
Yeah.
And so everybody sort of
retired.
Retired. So yeah, definitely retired now. But all of us came out of the private sector. Even Justin Waller still has his, steel construction business that he's doing and stuff. And so we all come from like the private sector. So none of us started doing this just for the sake of doing this.
Yeah.
I think that's a big distinction that a lot of people need to make is like, we're not doing this because it's like, oh, we just figured some side hustle that turned into a grift for us. It's like, no, we come from various different backgrounds and we have skill sets that we can use.
Galloway waves his finger at, we need to do more, right? We need to help other guys. Well, we are.
Yeah.
And I'm here. When I met you in January and told you my story, and I am here. I'm sitting at this table right now with Rollo Tomasi because I read his book 2.5 years ago. And how do I give you, how do I say thank you for that? By being here and being a part of this program and helping these other guys.
And you fill out a very important need in all of this too. And also I should say, not just style, but body language as well.
Yeah.
So it's like how you hold yourself. Like when we have one guy that has duck feet, we need him to like toe his toes in kind of thing. Is to put your
posture, projection of voice.
Yeah. A lot, because I think what's funny is like if you go for 25 years without like really thinking about how you walk or how you talk or like how you present yourself or what your body posture is. And then suddenly you're out on your own and you put thrust into the stranger in a strange land, into this sexual marketplace that you don't know about. Yeah. No one's going to tell you about those things if you don't have bros to come and help you say, look, you got duck walk, bro. I'm not being an asshole, but we just got you. We need to put you in the military. We need to get you, chest out, eyes front kind of thing,
That's right.
and get used to doing that. Raise your voice, use your outside voice, right? When it's appropriate, right? And some guys, you need to like tone it down a little bit, because we do have some guys that are like broadcast a little too much. So
everybody's got to work on their calibration.
Yeah, so it's calibration. It's like, and no one's going to tell you that, like, well, these guys don't need any of that. Anybody can learn this. Like, well, no one's going to tell you about that unless you have like sort of a group.
No one's going to tell you about it and work with you and get you reps and start applying it.
Right.
And get you started.
Rollo, what makes an unsatisfying long relationship stay? What do you, an unsatisfying long relationship?
Is he talking like ego investment, like you're staying in a long-term relationship?
Yeah,
but I think male ego investment has a lot to do with why a guy stays. A fear of not knowing what it's like to be alone. One of the most important parts of Rollo's Rational Male book at the end that I read that was really key for me is there is something after separation, because sometimes you can't see that. You don't, or you may not even be able to think it, right? Not only did it open my mind to the fact that I could be happier or less, not staying where I was in this relationship. And that's a tough thing to think too. You're in love with somebody. You've been together for a really long time, whether it's 20, 30 years. And to sit there and actually start to believe that you would be happier and better off separate than together. Right. Not just you, but both of you. And that's a huge pill to swallow, right? But I think a lot of it has to do with ego investment and fear of the unknowing and not understanding.
Yeah. I think in a lot of times it's also scarcity mentality. It's like not having that abundance and not knowing that you could have that abundance.
Well, it's like who are you going to date when you're single again after a 30-year marriage?
Right. Right. Well, that's what a lot of guys are fearful of that. Like they don't want to get a divorce, but usually it's thrust upon them, right? Because 70% of divorces are initiated by women.
Well, and if they've got one-itis, if they pedestalize, if they become a good guy and they have all these covert contracts and everything, and I think they still think that the process should work for them. I was reading Vox Day was talking about this, about like Delta males, and what Delta males tend to do is they tend to collect gold stars, or what they think of as like sort of like merits for things that they do. Sort of, that's one form of it. But like if they do certain things, if they sacrifice, the more you suffer, the more it shows you really care, right? The more they sacrifice, the more like little gold stars that they're supposed to get. And I've talked about this as relational equity in my books before. And it's mostly guys who think that if they go to soccer practice with the kid, they go to piano recital, they read to the kids before bedtime, they do homework with the kids, they do all these things, they're supportive of their spouse. They make food when they make dinner now and then. They, clean up the house. Whatever it is. Like, there's all these little sort of brownie points that they're supposed to be collecting, and they amount to jack fucking shit. Well, and that's the thing. It's like, that's kind of, they're projecting and writing covert contracts about what they expect. They're doing all this and they're expecting something in return, but they didn't tell anybody that they're doing that.
Right.
And then when they're not starting to see a return on their investment, they get passive aggressive.
Right.
They can do what's called a victim puke on somebody. It's like, I've done all, you blow up. Right.
I've done everything for you.
Yeah. And Dr. Glover talks a lot about that.
But the reason why guys stay in bad relationships is because they think it's still going to work.
Yeah.
Because they think that
it'll come around.
If I just get 100 more merits, then things will be better. Or she'll want to fuck me more often, or whatever it is. Or if I just get that promotion, or whatever it is that they think is going to sort of boost them in the eyes of they don't even look at like anything outside of themselves. They're just looking at what's going to be appeasing to their spouse, basically, is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So anyways, all right, guys, we're going to cut it there. We're almost at the 3-hour mark, and I know you've got a flight to catch at some point.
Some point tonight.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Gotta go back to the real world.
So Reignite program, you can get the link, which is right down below. Again, if we're our target demographic is 40 plus, but we're not going to kick you out for you being 38 or whatever. If you guys want to be involved in that.
If you wanted to look at everything on my Instagram that they were talking about, just look up James Kilgore, Kilgore. It'll pop up. And
you can find him.
You can see all those pictures that Rollo was making fun of me about.
Go and look at all the, you subscribe to his Instagram, if nothing else.
The motorcycle is my motorcycle. That was not a rented motorcycle.
Yes.
That is my
How tall are you?
6'2". 6'2".
6'2". Okay, so if I'm standing next to him, I'm not a man, the manlet that you think that I am.
5'9" thing that Mike keeps getting hit about.
I know you're actually taller than Mike by like an inch too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, see, I knew he was 5'6".
That's what they'll go in the pictures and they'll see Mike and they'll get on him by the side.
Yeah, it's very true. All right, guys. I'll be in studio here, same studio tomorrow with Jason Hartman. Jason is a real estate mogul. He's a good friend of mine. He's definitely a real estate guru, god, mogul, whatever you want to call it. Good friend of mine, has been also a good friend of George Gammon, Ken McElroy, Robert Kiyosaki. If I can get a few other guys in here, I'll see if I can get Joe Marin and some other guys to come in here for that one as well.
Yeah, Joe would be great for that.
Yeah, he would. We will have Jason Hartman will be in. Go to look him up on Instagram if you don't know who I'm talking about. He's a good dude. He's been on this show once before, probably about a year and a half ago. So do check that out. I'll be doing that. And then I'm going to see if I can start doing some midweeks. And perhaps I'm going to buy me a DJI Osmo, one of those things that you can carry around.
He was loving that thing.
That was awesome,
Babes.
man.
Yeah.
Because now I figured out how you can stream with an Osmo. So I'm going to end up doing that. Let's see. Real quick one here at the end. Question for the pilot guest. Any opinion on Boeing DIE, I guess DEI, hire and manufacturing defects in commercial airplane?
Oh, how much time do you want me to? Can I keep it to a few minutes?
Yes.
If you go, there's a really great documentary out about what happened with Boeing. And it used to be a company that prided itself on quality. And it was engineers. It was an engineering company run by engineers doing civilian airplanes. When they merged with McDonnell Douglas, and McDonnell Douglas took over basically, and that was just a bunch of K Street lobbyists. They moved the headquarters to Chicago. They started to try to beat up on the unions, and we can argue about that at some other time. But they started outsourcing a lot of the manufacturing, and here we are. We can see the end result was not good. There was issues. The last good airplane they rolled out was the 777. The 787 had problems. They were able to fix those, but the 73 Maxes we've been the butt of every joke, and I think it's well deserved. And I'm hoping that the new CEO, who is an engineer, can help sort these problems out. Everyone that I've talked to that flies the Max absolutely loves it. They think it's a great airplane, which is good to hear. But there's a lot of issues that still are left to be resolved, and they hopefully have the right guy in there now to help fix it. And Boeing will get it turned around. It's still going to take time, but we all, I always was proud of being able to say, if it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. And now, now people are like, I really don't know if I want to get on that Max airplane. And I haven't flown them yet. I fly 737s, but I fly the earlier models, the earlier NGs. And yeah, it's a sad story. But it shows you what happens, when you mix things together that shouldn't have been mixed, and how to maintain quality control, and put out people are putting their lives on the line flying these airplanes. Yeah. It's got to be up to standard, and hopefully they'll get it fixed soon.
Right on. I put Jim's Instagram address in the chat, so you guys can check that out. There you are. And so you can go and just check out also check out Babes in Toyland charity.
Yeah, there'll be some great photographs.
There's going to be some great photographs, and you might even see the video of me between two gigantic pairs of boobies.
It's like, when is this hug going to end?
Oh my god,
this is getting uncomfortable for me to watch.
It's funny. It's like people think like, well, he's the godfather of the manosphere. I can't believe he likes big fake titties. I'm like, dude, I have no problem. Like, you guys can talk all shit amazing. All you want about like, oh, these girls are fake. Okay, yeah, they are, but I don't have any problem with it. Yeah. What about tattoos, Rollo? It's like a bumper sticker on a Lamborghini. Like, as long as it doesn't look like people at Walmart, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. It's like you can go out there with that list and say none of this, none of that, none of that. And you're down to like 3 women left. Do I look like the kind of guy who cares about tattoos on
a chick? No, no.
It all depends.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, guys. So I will see you guys. I'll see you guys next week, same time, same channel. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern. I'll have Jason Hartman in here, and we'll get down to business. So until then, I will see you guys later. And take us out there, Special K.
We'll see you.
these bitches to go to hell.
It was my first time, but I was just a kid when we met and went to bed. It was my first time. What you expect
Guilty,
from
guilty,
me?
guilty, guilty.
I've got some new tools. Please do the same. Time came by and went over like a matchbox stereo. Time to get my thoughts now, let it go. Bound to keep me up all night. But maybe we can fuck again, and maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. Won't you put it on me one more again? Hey, yo. If maybe we can fuck again, then maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. You could have the best in my life.
Tell that bitch to be cool.
Now we're fucking in the bathroom, tearing up everywhere while I got your hair. Why you screaming my name?
That's nasty. It is nasty, right? Isn't it nasty? Ugh.
She was swinging in the bedroom, whole time stopping and stuffing with her hair. Like she's Claudia Kelly.
Well, I'm a whore.
Why me? Ride me up and down like a pony. Turning up my song, getting messy. Working up and down on your body. Why me? Ride me up and down like a pony. Turning up my song on your body. Baby, we'll get down to it.
God wants you to have a baby. Definitely not.
Preceding podcast has been a production of The Rational Male. All rights reserved. Registered trademark 2024. Don't steal my stuff. Red Pill Daily.
Misogyny. Oh, those guys are back! Dump that bitch! Thank you very much. Can I be in charge for a while?
God wants you to have the baby.
Definitely not.